Worrell, right before airtime, the temperature on the Cotton Bowl Stadium floor, almost 95 degrees.
Thank you very much, Steve. The weather conditions could not be better. We were expecting rain, but it started to clear off about 30 minutes ago, and right now, as Steve told you, that was the temperature. The wind is coming out of the south at about 14 to 15 miles per hour as the Texas Longhorns take the football field. 7-point underdogs this week.
That's not necessarily been bad in this series. In the last 10 years, the underdogs won 5 times and tied the favorite 2 others.
You remember we played in a thunderstorm last year. That will not be the case, I don't think, today. The officials, we will have 7 of them. Dixon Holman will be the umpire, referee. The umpire, Frank Gaines. The linesman, Bobby Ratliff. Paul Brown, Ron Underwood, Dan Upson, and Larry Weeks. 4 of the officials from the Southwest Conference and 3 from the Big 8. And why that added official, Norm Hitchcock?
Last year's controversial game. The fact that last year 2 officials made errors in the end zone, and the conference decided to add a 7th man to the crew of officials this year to try to prevent the controversy that marked last year's game.
The series record in these 2 schools, we told you earlier, 20-17, 47-28-4. Now, in the last 40 years, or from 1945 on, Oklahoma has closed that gap. It's only 20-17-2 in Texas's favor. And right now, the Longhorns on a bit of a streak. Longhorns have not lost in 7 of the last 9. It's time to hook 'em horns if you're a Texas fan as we go across the field for the eyes of Texas. See the Oklahoma Sooners. OU won the toss just a few moments ago and elected to give Texas the decision, and they wanted to kick it off and give it to the great defense. So the Sooners will be kicking off from the south, or right to left as you look at it, and Texas will be returning from the north end zone. So the Longhorns in the first quarter will have a wind into their face of about 15 miles per hour. But that also gives us a chance to look at young Eric Metcalf, the exciting kick returner for Texas.
This isn't normally. In fact, we have now been changed by the officials who told us OU was going to kick off. Now that apparently has changed.
Well, my note is false then. It will be Oklahoma receiving with the wind to their back. So what apparently happened, OU won the toss and Texas elected to receive from the north end zone.
Or to kick from the north end zone.
Or to kick from the north end zone, right. So we'll reverse it. And that's easy enough to do. Jeff Ward will be kicking off for Texas into the wind, number 23.
Let me get this straight. Somebody chose to kick off into the wind here. I have a feeling this may be a tiny mistake to begin the ball game.
Do you remember the Dallas Texans and the Houston Oilers in the double overtime? Abner Haynes elected to do the same thing. But the Texans went on and won it.
The kicker for Texas is strong-footed Jeff Ward. His dad is an NFL official, Ed Ward. Before the game, he was trying field goals and was hitting consistently from 55 yards into the wind.
Receiving for Oklahoma, number 1 will be Eric Mitchell, and number 33 will be Patrick Collins. They don't have a lot of experience at returning kickoffs.
Well, that's because their defense doesn't give up any scores, basically. They've got 2 yards returning kickoffs in 2 games.
So Texas kicking off against the wind in the first quarter as we're about to get this one underway. The 80th meeting between Texas and Oklahoma. Jeff Ward with the kickoff, and it will go down to about the 6-yard line. Taken by Collins. He bounces off a couple of tacklers, and he's down right at the 20-yard line by David Fulbright of Texas. A 13-yard return. That set the OU offense now, and this is a big, explosive group, especially Eric Pope, the left guard.
Pope's a senior. He may be the best, but they say the best prospect is Hudson. Phillips was everybody's high school All-American. The change at right tackle, Farrar and Greg Johnson will alternate at right tackle because Pickett, a starting lineman, is out with a knee problem.
Oklahoma with 2 wideouts and only 2 running backs as they break the wishbone on first down. Troy Aikman, the quarterback, hands off on the draw play to Leon Perry. Chris Dulaban makes the tackle, a gain of about 4 on the first down play. The backfield for Oklahoma. Troy Aikman, number 18, will be at quarterback. Keep an eye on Leon Perry, Lydell Carr, and Derek Shepard is a big one.
They're all babies back there. The oldest person in that offensive backfield is a true sophomore in college.
Second down, about 7 to go for OU. Now the full wishbone. Perry, Carr, and Collins. Handoff to the front man. That's Lydell Carr and Steve Llewellyn. Number 93 for Texas was in on the tackle. Let's set that Texas defensive line for you. James McKinney, Steve Llewellyn, who just made the tackle, Steelhammer, and Bronner across the front. It's a 4-3 alignment.
The key people are Llewellyn and Steelhammer. Texas without a dominating defensive tackle this year. Those are the 2 people, along with middle linebacker Britt Hager, who are going to have to stop the fullback in the Oklahoma wishbone, and that's the key. Oklahoma will try to establish that.
Derek Shepard comes lower part of your screen. 2 wideouts, 3 wideouts now for OU. Aikman with a handoff up the middle to the 30-yard line. Senegal on the tackle. There is a flag, I believe, on the play. Let's check and see. Gain of 8 on the play. No, everything's in order, so it's an Oklahoma first down. Linebackers, Ty Allert, the only big name in that group.
But Dulaban's been terrific so far this year. He's had 4 sacks, 4 pressures of the quarterback, 6 pass breakups, an interception, and a fumble caused. Dynamite start for Dulaban this year.
Back into the true wishbone. Shepard, the only wideout. Keith Jackson, the tight end, will be in for blocking purposes. Aikman with a handoff. And smothered behind the line of scrimmage is Leon Perry. Again, number 93, Steve Llewellyn, and 39, Chris Dulaban for Texas. The defensive backs in the lineup, Braggs, Peavy, Hagee, and Jeffries, and they like to play a bump and run.
They like to play man-on-man, Braggs and Jeffries, but Oklahoma feels if it can isolate its fine tight end, Keith Jackson, against Hagee, the strong safety, they could make some yards. This is a situation Oklahoma's offense does not cherish. 2nd and long.
Damon Stell and Derek Shepard are the wideouts for the lower part of your screen. That's Collins up on the top. Handoff up the middle to number 45, Lydell Carr again. It's Steve Llewellyn, number 93, and what a football game he has played in the first couple of minutes. That time, Carr, who leads the Sooners in rushing, was stopped again for no gain. Last year's leading rusher for OU.
You may see a very conservative call from Barry Switzer here. Switzer's idea has been not to ask the sophomore quarterback Aikman to do too much. He realizes he's got a dynamite defense. He won't take a lot of chances offensively.
3 wideouts for Oklahoma. 5 defensive backs in for Texas. 3rd down. And the sack in the backfield. Steve Llewellyn, number 93, and Ty Allert came crashing in from his outside linebacker position. Number 48, a loss of 6 on the play, and the Sooners will have to punt.
Check the number 93, Llewellyn. He's had a career in the first 2 minutes of this game against Oklahoma. Now, here is a big play for Texas. Here's where they pop big yardage because the return man, Eric Metcalf, is dynamite. He's already popped a 53-yarder this year.
And there is the punt by Oklahoma's Winchester. Metcalf at the 22. He gets a zone. Look out. He's over the 30 to about the 33-yard line. He's tackled on the play by Anderson. But a nice return by Eric Metcalf. And Texas has great field position at the 34. A 52-yard punt. We'll be back with more in Home Sports Entertainment in just a moment. Ball, there's the offensive line. John Stewart was disciplined, kicked off with the team at least for 1 game by Texas a couple of days ago. Now in motion for Texas. Handoff to Darren Norris at about the 35-yard line. Brian Bosworth, the first man to him, number 44, a gain of maybe 1. For Texas, starting at quarterback will be Brett Stafford. Charles Hunter, Darren Norris, Gabriel Johnson, and Everett Gay will be in the lineup. Russell Hayes now checks in for Texas. Harris, the big tight end, keep an eye on him.
Harris has a slightly pulled hamstring, and Norris bothered by a bad thigh bruise. But when it's Texas OU, you play.
Norris and Hunter dots the I. Russell Hayes in motion for Texas. 36-yard line. Brett Stafford is the quarterback, not Todd Dodge. He's number 10. And Paul Migliazzo makes the tackle for the Sooners. That tough Sooner defense. As let's check it for you. Darrell Reed, Richard Reed, Tony Casillas, Steve Bryan, Kevin Murphy. They could all be Big 8 this year.
Casillas, preseason All-American. Murphy, preseason All-American. Bryan, the brother of Rick Bryan, an All-American. And Reed may be the best athlete of the 5 of them.
Gabriel Johnson comes down low to the bottom part of your screen. Everett Gay flanked up to the top. Third down, about 9 needed. Brett Stafford on the rollout. He's being rushed by a whole bunch of Sooners, and he throws the ball out of bounds. It's incomplete. Intended for Gabriel Johnson at the 45. Tony Rayburn defending for Oklahoma, and it's 3 downs and punt for Texas. The Sooners have been doing that to the opponents all year long. In fact, for the last 2 seasons.
The first game they played this year, Minnesota, was a truly rare first half. Minnesota got the ball 5 times. Every possession was 3 downs and a punt. No first downs in the first half for Minnesota this year against OU.
John Telchik will be punting from his own 20-yard line. Derek Shepard, who has a real good return average for Oklahoma, will get it. He calls for the fair catch. He's backed up to about the 24-yard line. And so good field position, good punt by Telchik that time. A punt of 41 yards and no return by Derek Shepard.
The Oklahoma offense will run, if it can, all day. So far this season in their 2 games, they've run the ball 4.5 times as often as they've passed the ball. But when Oklahoma throws the ball, it may be on first down and it may be long. They believe they can hit Texas long on first down.
Wishbone backfield, Troy Aikman along with Perry, Carr, and Stell. And it's a handoff to Perry. Goes the right side. Maybe 2. James McKinney, number 87, wrapped him up, the left end for the University of Texas.
Oklahoma has also changed one other thing. When they break the huddle this time and come to the line of scrimmage, notice how wide the splits between their offensive linemen are, especially between the guard and tackle. Oklahoma feels in its attempts to get outside, those wide split offensive tackles will have an advantage against the Texas linebackers.
Aikman had a big week against Kansas State. Now they break it. Damon Stell goes to the right side at the wingback position. Aikman will keep, and he's going nowhere. Again, the Texas defense. Britt Hager, number 60, the first Longhorn in on the tackle. That number 60 has always played a prominent part in these Texas OU games.
Well, Tommy Novus was okay, and Jeff Lighting left an imprint on a few people in his ears in this conference. Bill, they call that a wishbone that Texas is running. But basically, Aikman has not pitched the ball this year. They want to be as vanilla as possible, make as few mistakes as possible. The pitch back on the wishbone's gotten the ball only 3 times in 2 games.
Third down, about 6 needed. Leon Perry goes in motion for the Sooners. Here comes Aikman. He will pitch it this time. Out to about the 30-yard line goes Carr. Gerard Senegal was the man coming up along with Stephen Braggs. A gain of only 3 for Oklahoma. And now the Sooners will have to punt. Mike Winchester enters the game.
Make that 4 times the pitch man's gotten the ball on the wishbone option. By the way, Winchester kicks the ball very high. In 2 games, he's punted 11 times coming in.
Oklahoma, Norm, only had 10 men on the field and had to call a timeout as the clock winded down. So Oklahoma calls a timeout. We're at the Cotton Bowl, 8-12 left, no score, all defense on HSE. Switzer talking it over with his coaching staff. The Sooners not able to move the football. Mike Winchester, who punted 54 yards the first time, will punt again to Eric Metcalf, who returned the last one 11 yards.
In the first 2 games, Oklahoma opponents only got 6 total return yards. Winchester just generally doesn't let you return his punts. He kicks them so high.
He has the wind to his back. Texas coming hard. They had the rush on. What a booming kick by Winchester. Drives Metcalf all the way back to the 20. Look at that move by Eric. Look out. 35, and he's finally tackled at about the 34-yard line. He was down. There was no fumble. He was down on the ground. Dead ball on the 34. Scott Garl made the tackle for OU. That time Texas went to block it, and he still almost returned it. 51-yard punt by Winchester. Watch the little cute move by Metcalf.
Looks just like his daddy, Terry Metcalf, doesn't he? Little jitterbug moves, gets outside. If he could have turned outside once more right here, he would have been free. The ball is well down before it squirts loose, and Texas will get the ball at the 34-yard line.
Metcalf stays in the game. He will be the tailback behind Brett Stafford. And also in the game will be Darren Norris. Motion by Texas. Norris goes left. He's got running room at the 35. Across the 42, about the 42-yard line before he's knocked out of bounds by Derek White. A gain of 7 on the play. But right now the Oklahoma defense could be hurting a little bit, Norm Hitchcock, as I believe Tony Casillas is on the sidelines right now.
Yeah, he's bunged up a little bit. He is not in there. His replacement is a young man named Curtis Williams.
He's number 93. He's a big one, 254 pounds, but of course he's no Casillas. Second down, about 2 for Texas. Metcalf comes in motion. He could get the flip here from Stafford. Stafford elects to keep, however, and he gets up to about the 44, close for a first down. Brian Bosworth on the tackle. Let's go to Jerry Park on the OU sideline to find out the condition on Tony Casillas.
Bill, you notice that Tony Casillas, the All-American nose guard for Oklahoma, is not in there. They're working on his right knee. His right knee. At this point, Dan Pickett, the trainer, tells me he doesn't know how bad it is. We'll check. Have more for you later. Bill?
I can tell you how bad it is, Bill. He's not playing. That's bad for Oklahoma.
He has a high threshold of pain. He is a very tough youngster. If he could walk, he would be in there right now. Here's the wishbone for Texas. Third down, about a yard needed for a first. Stafford rolling right, and his tight end fell down, and it's intercepted. Number 7, Liddell Glenn for Oklahoma. Intercepts at the 50-yard line. It was intended for William Harris, but Harris fell down, so that when Stafford threw the football, the only man there was Liddell Glenn. He's a junior out of Fullerton Junior College. Watch the play here, Norm.
The key is Richard Reed. See, 96 Reed doesn't buy the fake. He forces Stafford to go wide. That fouls up the timing on the play, and when Harris falls down, bingo, mistake number 1, and mistakes usually decide this game.
This game, that's right. Turnovers and field position and the kicking game have a lot to do with it. Right now, Damon Stell and Collins goes wide to the right along with Derek Shepard. Here comes Collins in motion. Aikman wants to pass. Look at his running back out of the backfield, and he just overthrows Damon Stell at the Texas 32-yard line. That time, Ty Allard, the linebacker, went all the way downfield with Damon Stell. As you take a look at Troy Aikman, who last week hit on 10 of 14 for 177 yards against Kansas State. But he's still a puppy in that offense.
If you need a statistic on how infrequently Oklahoma throws the ball, this is Barry Switzer's 13th year in big, high-powered offensive football. He's never had a quarterback throw for 200 yards in a game.
He's had some running backs, however. Going in motion, Patrick Collins. Fake up the middle. Now the flip back to number 2, Leon Perry. And look at all the orange jerseys. Perry did a heck of a job that time as he got a gain of 3 inside Texas territory across the 50 before Steve Llewellyn and Stephen Braggs came over to make the tackle. But that time Perry did an excellent job to gain any yardage, and it'll be 3rd down and 7.
Sometimes the better runs in a game wind up being 3 or 4 yarders. That should have been a loss of 2 or 3. And 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 13 are very different situations.
Collins to the left, Leon Perry to the right along with Derek Shepard. 3 wide receivers. Only Carr is the back behind Aikman. Here, drop back pass, and he throws it out here. He had Derek Shepard wide open at the Texas 28-yard line. Stephen Braggs was the closest defender, but Aikman that time threw a funny kind of a pass. The point was down on it. Barry Switzer was talking to him about it, but he did have Shepard open.
If this were an IBM missile, they'd have self-destructed this baby just after it launched, because it was not thrown well at all. You know, Shepard, with the ball well thrown, had enough time to swing down the sideline and score there. There was no safety help for Texas.
Winchester will be punting again. He is averaging 53 yards on 2 punts. Metcalf 11 yards on 2 returns. This time he really turns the point over, and it hits at the 1 and goes into the end zone for a touchback. So Texas will have it at its own 20-yard line when we come back for more action. 6:13 left in the first quarter. No score from the Cotton Bowl. This is the HSE Sports Network. Bevo looking on with a little bit of interest. Let's go down to the sideline. Steve Ross on the Texas bench.
Bill, you saw Eric Metcalf in at a wide receiver last time. You may see him there more often today. They will use him in motion and make an effect, a triple option like the wishbone. He'll be the trailing halfback. They want to give him the ball as much as they can in as many situations.
Well, that's a pretty wise idea. Todd Dodge is now checked into the Texas lineup. Both teams have 11 yards of total offense, so you can see the defensive struggle it has been. And off in the backfield, this is Charles Hunter as he skitters for about 5 yards to the 25. Tony Rayburn on the tackle for OU.
Bill, back to something you said just before Steve Ross's report. How can you tell Bevo's got an interested look on his face?
I've seen him for 20 years. What would you have? There's AstroTurf to eat here.
He's facing the wrong way to watch the game right now, Bill.
Well, he was looking at the cheerleaders, Norm's what I was talking about.
He's a steer, Bill. He shouldn't be looking at cheerleaders.
You're right. Hunter across the 25 to the 27. Darrell Reed on the tackle, the young sophomore from Cypress Fairbanks in Houston, 6'2", 211. Also Brian Bosworth on the tackle. We'd like to welcome our fans from Oklahoma City, KOCO TV, and the Tulsa area, and all of you Sooner fans watching on the HSE Sports Network. Also for all the Texas fans in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and in Houston and elsewhere around the state of Texas. We hope you are enjoying this classic battle, Texas and OU. Gabriel Johnson wide to the left. Everett Gay to the lower part of your screen. Dodge wants to throw. Across the middle, and he's got Everett Gay at the 40-yard line. It wasn't a pretty pass, but it got the job done, and it's a Texas first down. Sonny Brown defending for the Sooners. A gain of 15.
Todd Dodge did not practice in the middle of the week because of flu. Texas City still looked a little peaked this morning. The pass looks a little peaked, but it's right on target to Everett Gay, who's a speed burner. The companion play to that route is Gay to turn long off.
Bobby Lane never threw a pretty pass either, but he got it done. The key to Todd Dodge may be if he gets these first couple of completions. Darren Norris over left tackle. There's not much running room. I'd say maybe a gain of 2. Bosworth, the first one to him, along with Richard Reed, number 96. Reed in the game, also with Curtis Williams, number 93. Tony Casillas is still nursing an injured knee on the sideline, and that's tough news.
Not only is the loss of Casillas a factor, but Texas now doesn't have to worry about double-teaming a Casillas who causes all sorts of havoc in the middle of the line. They can use the double-team blocker someplace else he's needed.
Russell Hayes into the lineup. Gabe Johnson going in motion to the top of your screen. He fakes the handoff play action. Dodge with time to pass. Looks across the middle, and he throws a dying duck intended for William Harris at about the 30-yard line. That ball went end over end. Sonny Brown, Tony Rayburn defending for Oklahoma. In fact, so far in this game, Norm, Aikman and Dodge have not thrown pretty passes, nor has Brett Stafford.
Isn't it a comment on the game when the only spirals in the game so far are those kicked by Winchester?
Well, the wind may be swirling down there here in the Cotton Bowl. It's coming out of the southeast, but when it gets down on the field, it swirls quite a bit. Third down for Texas. Everett Gay, top of your screen. Draw play. Charles Hunter. He gets almost to the 50-yard line. It'll be shy of a first down, however. Curtis Williams, number 93, in on the tackle, the freshman from Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
If you're a believer in field position, though Texas did not get a first down here and must give the ball back up to Oklahoma, look how dramatically the field position has changed. Just a couple of moments ago, Oklahoma took over the ball at the 50-yard line on a turnover and couldn't move it. Now Texas is the 50, kicking it back to Oklahoma.
John Telchik of Kerrville will be back on his 35-yard line. That is Derek Shepard, and he gets an end-over-end kick off the side of his foot, and it's going to get a Texas roll to about the 10-yard line. It was killed at about the 10 by Terry Steelhammer, so Oklahoma will be backed up deep in its own territory when we return on the HSE Sports Network. No score in the first quarter. back to the Cotton Bowl. First quarter, 3:15 left to play. No score in this a very defensive-oriented ball game. Bill Worrell along with Norm Hitchcock. Norm?
No score on the Oklahoma side certainly isn't surprising. They've gotten only 3 points in the first quarter this year. Last year they got only 41 points in all their first quarters. In their last 13 first quarters, they've only gotten 44 points. That's 3 points a game.
Perry, Carr, and Collins in the wishbone from the 11-yard line. Hand off to Collins, and big tackle applied by Chalmer Adams and Thomas Aldridge. Now Texas has its second defensive lineup in there. We'll go over it with you. Kip Cooper at left end, Chalmer Adams at left tackle, Steve Llewellyn in there at right tackle, Thomas Aldridge at right end. Then it's Mike January and Ty Allard at quarterback at linebackers, along with Petkovich. The second team for Texas. Second down, OU, wishbone. Fumble in the air. Texas has it. And going in, standing up, is Thomas Aldridge making the hit, and Kip Cooper takes it in, and Texas, with a sudden change of events, leading it 6-0.
We have talked about how often the gigantic mistake swings the momentum in this game. This is a giant one.
Let's watch it again, and the hit by Aldridge, number 97.
Aikman basically didn't know whether to pull it out and keep it himself or let Carr have it. The Texas linebackers busted the play up along with Aldridge, and this will be the 7th point if Ward can split them.
Jeff Ward from the 10. There's a flag on the play. We'll look and see if there was an offsides. Dixon Holman, the referee, talking to the officials. So Texas will have to try it again. Illegal procedure on the Longhorns. Well, as oftentimes happens in this titanic struggle, a turnover, a dramatic turn of events by Oklahoma, and Texas recovers a fumble in the air. I thought Kip Cooper did a heck of a job running it back in.
Bill, you know, a team that's starting a sophomore quarterback, a sophomore fullback, a sophomore one running back, and a freshman the other doesn't need to make an enormous mistake like that early in the game. It can weigh on you the whole game.
25-yard attempt now for the extra point by Jeff Ward. And it's good. So with 2:35 left to play in the first quarter, Texas takes a 7-0 lead, and the defense scored the points.
You're going to see the score again, the Texas score that put them ahead 7-0 over Oklahoma. Aldridge, the right defensive end for the University of Texas, crashes down on the mesh play. Here is Aikman, who will put the ball in the belly of Carr and then not be able to decide whether to take it out or not. The impetus of pulling the ball out of Carr was partially Aikman's. Then Cooper, what is he doing on defense? The man should be a fullback. He breaks 2 tackles.
6'3", 240 pounds, a senior from Port Arthur Jefferson. And Texas uses its defense to score and take a 7-0 lead. You know, Thomas Aldridge really put the headgear in there at the point of the football.
That's got to worry Aikman, though. That's a mistake on the mesh, and the mesh in the wishbone. That is the play where the quarterback puts the ball in the tummy of the fullback and decides whether to take it out or not, is the key to the entire Oklahoma offense. If that play's fouling up, that's the biggest trouble you can have in a wishbone.
Danny Bradley, big shoes to fill. Aikman trying to do it this season. Kicking off will be Jeff Ward, Eric Mitchell, and Patrick Collins. That's Mitchell at about the 6-yard line. He gets to about the 20, let's say the 22-yard line, before he's tackled on the play by David Fulbright. This telecast is authorized under rights granted to Home Sports Entertainment and KOCO-TV by the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. It is intended solely for the non-commercial use and entertainment of the viewing audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this broadcast without the express written consent from HSE is prohibited. Announcers for this broadcast were selected and are employed by Home Sports Entertainment.
2:30 to go in the first quarter. Oklahoma figures to have the wind only for this possession. This might be the place where the first down bomb to the tight end might be called.
Wishbone, handoff Damon Stell. Across the middle, a gain of about 2. Britt Hager, the middle linebacker, the first one to him. You know, that turnover by Texas, too, on defense, Norm, was with its second team defense in the game. or what they like to call their second team.
Second team and first team with teams like this with monster amounts of talent. That's just a designation.
2:03. The clock winds down first quarter. Derek Shepard, the lone wideout. The upper part of your screen. Troy Aikman on the pitch, and he gets a good one back to Stell, and he gets to about the 28-yard line. He is run out of bounds by number 48, Ty Allard. A gain of 6. And another tough decision. Wait a minute. There's a flag back on the play.
Oklahoma looks like it knows what's happening. It was thrown by the left side of the Oklahoma offensive line.
The referees and officials are not very popular on this side of the Red River as far as the Oklahoma fans are concerned, especially after last year's finish.
Bill, they weren't popular on either side after last year's finish.
Big Markov holding against the Sooners, and Barry Switzer says, what's going on out here?
This is the worst possible situation for a team that does not throw the ball. They're deep in their own territory. They've got loads of yardage to go, and they've got a quarterback who hasn't thrown the ball well yet today.
Second down and 18. That's Stell in motion. Breaks the wishbone. Hand off to the first man through, Lydell Carr. He's dragged down at about the 18-yard line. Blake Bronner and Chris Dulaban were in on the tackle for Texas. Now the clock winds down. It's down to 1:20. One thing OU might want to think about, Norm, is kicking with that wind to their back.
Well, if they get the first down here, they'll continue possession of the ball, and the quarter will end with them in possession of it. If they don't get the first down, there's still enough time for them to kick with the wind.
Aikman has the play. Shepard will come wide out to the right. Keith Jackson, number 88, remains in, the tight end. Aikman. He'll keep across the 20, and he gets to about the 24-yard line. Ty Allard and Steve Llewellyn in on the tackle. Terry Steelhammer was also there, and the Texas defense holds Oklahoma one more time. And listen to those Texas fans.
This will now be 3 first quarters this season. Oklahoma with 3 total points in them.
Mike Winchester will be back inside his 10-yard line. Eric Metcalf, keep an eye on him now. He's got a lot of running room here. Good kick again by Winchester, and Metcalf signals for the fair catch, and he backs up on his own 27-yard line with 16 seconds left to play in the first quarter. A 47-yard punt by Mike Winchester.
It would behoove Texas to run one play, get the clock run out, and get the win here.
Todd Dodge will be at quarterback. Anthony Byerly has now checked in along with Jerome Johnson.
One note, Byerly is left-handed, and Texas has a left-handed option pass. That's for future notes.
Well, he's not passing this time. He's smothered by Darrell Reed, number 40, the first Sooner to him, and he got there very soon. A loss of 1 on the play. Todd Dodge, that's the end of the first quarter, will come to the sideline to talk it over with Fred Akers. It's been all defense at the Cotton Bowl in the first quarter, and Texas is leading it 7-0 on the HSE Sports Network. Let's go to Jerry Park on the OU sideline. We're having some technical problems finding Jerry, but that big back is Tony Casillas at number 92, the starter for Oklahoma, and it looks like he may be out for the game. Norm, that could be awfully bad news for the Sooners. We hope it's not too serious.
His pads are off. That's usually the sign a person's not going to be back in the game.
Texas will now have it with second down. About 11 needed. I formation. Byerly and Jerome Johnson. Pitch back to Anthony Byerly. He's got some blockers in front of him, and then he outran his blockers. Brian Bosworth ran right into him. A big collision at the 30-yard line.
Brian's got a way of running into people.
Yes, he does. Brian Bosworth, you know, he makes Rambo look like a sissy.
I tell you what, Bosworth he loves to play. That's why the scouts love him. They think he's going to be a terrific NFL player. Texas offense, by the way, has churned out some big plays this year. Bill will detail just how many after this play.
Todd Dodge, who had a record-setting 359 yards passing last week against Rice. High formation again. Again, the same play to Byerly as he gets to the 35, and he carries some Sooners with him. Bosworth, one of the Sooners, to about the 37-yard line. Jerome Johnson with a good block on that play.
In the 3 games coming into this one, Texas had runs of 26, 29, 36, 43, 62, and 74 yards, and passes of 28 yards, 30, 40, 47, 50, 80, and 96. Those 13 plays netted them 641 yards, 49.3 yards per play. Wow.
Derek Shepard will be returning it as Telchik will have to punt. Look at the block by Oklahoma was on that time, and they missed it. And Shepard will call for the fair catch inside his 20 at about the 19. Telchik did a heck of a job that time. Jeff Hakey almost got to it, a 44-yard punt off the foot of John Telchik, and he did an excellent job getting that football off. Norm, I thought he was going to get it blocked there for a moment.
As a matter of fact, the ball was launched between the hands of an Oklahoma.
Let's go back down to the OU sideline and Jerry Park.
Bill and Norm, at this point in time, Tony Casillas will not be back. He is a senior at the University of Oklahoma. He has a knee sprain on the right knee. Jeff Pickett, the trainer, told me they reevaluate it at halftime, but they don't think he's going to come back. He's currently got ice on it. It's a bad break for Oklahoma and Tony Casillas. Norm and Bill?
Well, that is tough news. Patrick Collins in motion. A fly pass across the middle, complete to Keith Jackson. Watch him rumble down inside Texas territory to the 38-yard line. James Lott made the tackle along with Stephen Braggs, but a big play by the big play man for OU, Keith Jackson, 6'3", 241 pounds from Little Rock.
We told you about Oklahoma's plans to isolate the tight end on the safety, and they finally get it here, and he's gone. The safety bites at the line of scrimmage, Senegal on the run, and Jackson carries 2 Texas Longhorns 40 yards. Until that point, the Oklahoma wishbone had been more wish than bone.
There you see the stats so far this year on Keith Jackson. He is a big, rugged tight end, but I'll tell you what, it's almost like having another wide receiver. Big play for the Sooners. They needed it. Back to the wishbone again. Aikman flipping back to Leon Perry. Inside the 35-yard line. Run out of bounds by Gerard Senegal and Stephen Braggs. But a pretty good gain on first down for the Sooners, a gain of about 6.
Barry Switzer has turned Aikman loose far more this game than he had in the first 2, Bill. Aikman had been very conservative against the Minnesota team and the Kansas State team.
Well, there comes a time when you have to let an option quarterback go. And this might be the game that he grows up. Troy Aikman. Carr up the middle to the 20, inside the Texas 20 to the 18-yard line. Stephen Braggs makes the tackle, but it was Lydell Carr on the quick hitter. Great blocks up front by Travis Simpson and Paul Ferrer. A gain of 12 on the play.
Again, referring to our pregame notes, Oklahoma needs to establish the fullback, and they popped him free right there.
So far, OU has rushed 17 times, has passed only 3. Derek Shepard out wide to the left. The wishbone again. Again, it's to Carr. They go right back to the bread and butter. Terry Steelhammer on the tackle for Texas, but that big surge by the OU offensive line netted him 3 yards out of it.
In this series, the last couple of plays, the OU offensive line has had the advantage at the line of scrimmage.
Big drive for the Sooners, trying to get back into this game. Travis Simpson, Anthony Phillips. Greg Johnson is now in there, the big 300-pounder, number 75 on the right tackle spot. Keep an eye on him. He'll run behind him a lot. It's Patrick Collins in the wingback position. Pitches back out. Lots of running room for Leon Perry, and it closes quickly. Ty Allard did a good job of coming up that time. A gain of 5, however, by the Sooners.
Allard did a really nice job on the corner because Oklahoma appeared to have it turned, and Allard, if he doesn't make the stop, that ball goes near the goal line.
Now they are running Norm behind big number 75, Greg Johnson, along with Anthony Phillips at right guard. There's Ty Allard, the All-American candidate from Northbrook High School in Houston. Wishbone, 3rd down. Oklahoma needs 2. Carr got it. the 6-yard line. First down OU. Britt Hager on the tackle for Texas. And the red and white behind the blocks of Anthony Phillips and Greg Johnson. And now the big right side of the OU offensive line taking charge.
You'll see Simpson fire out here, and Carr come right in behind the blocks of Simpson and Phillips in a goal line situation. It's tough to get a hole that large. That's terrific blocking.
Anthony Phillips, 274-pounder from Tulsa. Johnson from Moore, Oklahoma. Handoff, and then to Carr with good running inside the 4 to maybe the 3-yard line. Chris Dulaban makes the tackle for Texas. Right now it's sheer power by the Sooners.
Carr is 215 pounds. He's taken out a $250,000 insurance policy against his being disabled, and he's only a sophomore at OU. I think he's got plans.
Second down and 3. Carr now has carried 9 times for 32 yards. Second down and goal to go for the Sooners. Perry right to the goal line. Chalmer Adams, number 96. Steve Llewellyn, 93 for Texas. But Perry was able to carry it right down to about the 1. Nothing very fancy about what OU's doing right now, Norm. They are running behind that ton of beef on the right side.
You know, you sit in an analyst chair and you try to analyze the game. There's nothing to analyze here. OU snapping the ball and saying, you right there, right guy, we're right over you, pal, because it's nothing but macho on macho here.
Jackson and Darren Berryhill, tight ends. Third down, and Oklahoma needs 1 for a touchdown. Carr, did he get it? I don't know. Yes, he did. Touchdown, Oklahoma.
To happen for this to be a touchdown is for the ball to break the plane of the end zone while in possession of the runner. Carr leaps. Oh my goodness. Hard call, sir.
Mark Petkovich did a good job for Texas that time. The senior from Aldine. He met Carr right at the goal line, and it was close, but OU got it in. Tim Lasher will attempt the extra point for the Sooners.
Whoops.
It's good. It just got through the left upright, and this game is tied 7-7 with 10:18 to play in the first half. There you see the Oklahoma touchdown on the HSE Sports Network. The 40th consecutive sellout. OU scoring on 9-play drive. It took 3:17, and they moved 80 yards. Carr with a 1-yard run. And Todd Thompson will be kicking off for the Sooners. And we saw him earlier in warm-ups, Norm, and he was booming them out of the end zone. He's a young freshman.
You talk about a thunderfoot. He was going over the end zone in warm-ups. He better get it over Metcalf and Nunn, because they can scoot.
Norman Nunn, number 25 back deep, and that's the strategy by Barry Switzer. Don't even let those little midgets have it.
I don't know. There were some small people sitting in the stands that almost got it.
Barry Switzer has to be a little relieved. His offense got him on the scoreboard. The Texas defense, the only 7 points for Texas. The Texas offense unable to move very much against this stubborn OU defense. If you just joined us, Tony Casillas is out for the remainder of the game. And we hope it's not for the rest of the season.
This might be a good time for Texas to think about establishing the short pass, to try to get Dodge working and throwing the ball.
Metcalf dots the I. Dodge fakes it to Metcalf. Wants to throw. Another wobbler intended for Jerome Johnson, number 35. Darrell Reed was in the area for Oklahoma, but Dodge threw that ball like a knuckleball.
Nothing wrong with the call. The pattern was wide open. Dodge simply had to deliver the ball. Todd Dodge has a strange history. When he gets hot, he's a lot like Donnie Little used to be. When he gets hot, he can get on a roll. When he gets cold, he can get cold.
Right now, he's only 1 of 3 in passing. Russell Hayes and Donovan Pitts in for Texas. I formation, second down, needing 10. Eric Metcalf over left tackle. A gain of about 4. Paul Migliazzo and Troy Johnson, number 80, in the lineup. And basically right now with Johnson and Curtis Williams, Darrell Reed, Steve Bryan in the lineup for Oklahoma along the front line. David Vickers checks in now for Texas, a 5-back offense or defense for the Sooners.
Another future reference note, Metcalf played quarterback for 5 games in high school. He can throw the ball.
3 wide receivers. Everett Gay comes out to the lower part of your screen. Dodge across the middle, and he's got Metcalf at the 30. Watch him fly, and he trips and falls at the 38-yard line. But it's enough for a Texas first down. Brian Bosworth may have tripped him up. A gain of 15. Boy, can this guy scoot.
He may have tripped and fallen on this over the middle route, but he still scared the bejeebers out of the Oklahoma defensive backs, because, Bill, when you're an athlete, you can see another athlete and say to yourself, he's faster than I am.
Eric Metcalf, his daddy Terry attending the game today. It's his first game he's seen his son play in a burnt orange uniform. Big hole. Into Oklahoma territory goes Eric Metcalf to about the 48-yard line. A gain of 12. Migliazzo on the tackle for the Sooners, but it was a little late.
When the passes start working, the plays that work off passes work. Todd Dodge hits the pass over the middle, so the draw works the next time.
Metcalf has carried 2 times for 16 yards. Right now, Rick Houston playing at left tackle, Bruce Blackmar at left guard, Gene the Machine, Coke Machine at center, Brian Chester and Billy Ray Todd, the offensive line for Texas. First down, Metcalf again gets the call. Fumble. Dodge was the only one back there, along with Troy Johnson making the hit. Was Steve Bryan back there with Dodge. They were the only 2. Now watch this hit by Troy Johnson right here.
Watch the nice job by Dodge, though. He doesn't jump at the ball. He tries to determine the bounce and recovers it. He wasn't going to be able to do anything with that football except recover it. Good job of keeping his wits about him by Todd Dodge.
Especially when you got that big guy hanging over your shoulder, Steve Bryan.
Well, when the Empire State Building's about to land on you, it's no fun. You're right.
3 wide receivers for the Horns. Second down, they need a bunch. 21 to be exact. Dodge trying to get by his own offensive lineman, Gene Chilton. And Chilton decked him at about the 37-yard line.
And the OU guys got the nerve to get up and signal like he made the tackle. Watch Dodge. Chilton's going to turn around and make a great hit here. Boom! and then the OU guy, 96.
That's Richard Reed.
Got up and said, I got him. I got him. That's the best hit on an OU back or on a Texas back today, and it was made by Chilton.
Donovan Pitts, watch his speed, number 43 at the top of your screen. Third down and 24. 7:24 left to play in the first half. Dodge across the middle, and he's got Everett Gay at the 50-yard line. Ricky Dixon, the defender for OU, but it'll be about 10 yards short of a first down, and Texas will have to punt the football one more time.
But good news, Todd Dodge whistled that baby. That was drilled over the middle, well-thrown ball, and also, even though it doesn't get you the first down, it gets you to midfield. From midfield, Telchik can now try to pick out a corner. He can go coffin corner. You got a chance to put OU around the 10-yard line.
Derek Shepard deep. John Telchik has punted 3 times for a 41.3 average. He'll be back on his own 35-yard line. He waits, he holds it a couple of seconds, and now he gets it off a good spiral that may be killed inside the 10. It takes an Oklahoma bounce all the way back outside to about the 15-yard line, where Oklahoma will have it when we come back. 6:28 left to play in the first half. It's a 7-7 game from the Cotton Bowl on the HSE Sports Network. And Steve Ross. Steve?
Well, Bill Worrell, the wind conditions are swirling. When Texas got possession in that time, the wind was dead into their face. Now, at the end of it, it's kind of now behind them, but it is swirling. Another factor, the heat. Several Texas players, especially the defensive players, have had leg cramps, including Ty Allen.
That could be a reason why both quarterbacks are having trouble throwing the football, because of that swirling wind. It was supposed to rain here today, but it cleared off right before the kickoff. Hand off to Carr. Up the middle, a gain of about 1. Thomas Aldridge, number 97, the first Longhorn to him.
Oklahoma's experimenting with things there. Do you see the back go in motion? The Oklahoma coaches in the booth will notice that, and Texas assigned only a safety to go with him. That man has one-on-one coverage over the entire field. Don't be surprised if Oklahoma comes back to that fellow later with a pass.
Damon Stell flanks out to the upper part of your screen. Shepard to the lower part. And a big hole for Leon Perry as he gets across the 20, stumbles to the 23. Mart Petkovich and John Hagee on the tackle for the Longhorns. Lydell Carr had a great block, a gain of 8 on the play, and an OU first down.
Perry's from Orlando, Florida. OU has only 25 of 60 players in today's roster from Oklahoma. 21 are from Texas.
Shepard, one of those from Texas by way of Odessa. And off to the middleman again. That's Carr. Petkovich on the tackle.
The ball was dropped in there.
Oklahoma has it.
The ruling is the forward progress had been stopped. There's the ball goes down. See it? It's on the ground.
Yeah, but they had him. You were right about that. He was standing up, and they had stopped him. And the ruling by the official was his forward progress had been stopped. So it'll be second down now. First down, excuse me, by the Sooners. Again, first down on the last play. Wishbone. Aikman on the keeper to the 27. Thomas Aldridge on the tackle.
A little wrestling match downfield as the running back Carr and the safety for Texas Hagee got in it.
There you see Troy Aikman's statistics when he runs the football, and that's not a very good average. 2 yards.
No, it isn't, but you got to figure that this is a sophomore just starting his collegiate career, and they've had the raps on him so far this season. Only today are we starting to see Aikman be giving some of the other options in his wishbone.
Patrick Collins flanks out. Hand off again to Leon Perry. Comes wide. He's got to beat one man. He gets to the 34-yard line. He's run out of bounds by Stephen Braggs and Ty Allard. Gain of 7 on the play.
You think about this, Spencer Tillman's not here, and he's most likely their best running back. He has a hamstring pull. Earl Johnson, probably their best fullback, the starter ahead of Carr if he's fully healthy, isn't here. He's gone for the year with a cracked kneecap, and they keep trotting out players like Perry, who's a third-teamer at the start of fall practice.
Hand off to the right side to Patrick Collins, and he's got an OU first down across the 40. Correction, Don Maloney, who had just checked into the game, number 23, and he gains 6. Here's another, a freshman out of Chickasha, Oklahoma.
The OU coaches call Don Maloney RT for raw talent. They say he's going to be a marvelous back. But then anybody Oklahoma recruits basically is a marvelous back.
And here comes another one. Rodney Anderson, number 28, has just checked in at fullback in place of Lydell Carr. Aikman wants to throw on first down, and he's got his receiver at the 45-yard line. That is Patrick Collins. Ty Allard defending for the Horns.
You've seen a bevy of Oklahoma running backs today. But, Bill, if we had sat 2 years ago and talked about doing this game, we'd have talked of this being the head-to-head Heisman Trophy candidates. This would have been the game Marcus Dupree and Edwin Simmons went at it.
It's a good point.
And where is Dupree now?
I don't know if anybody knows that.
Simmons sits on the Texas bench running third or fourth team because of leg problems.
Rick Ewells is the center now for OU. He has checked in. Second down and 5. That time, Aikman did a great job of almost getting to midfield. He was hit 3 times. Chris Dulaban and Terry Steelhammer finally put it on him along with Ty Allard. Terry Steelhammer, what a great name for a defensive tackle. The ball just shy of the 50-yard line.
Aikman does a very nice job of making this a third down and short yardage situation. He doesn't go down there, doesn't go down there, doesn't go down there or there, and finally down there. 5 people got a piece of him before he went down. Third and short, the way they're moving it, they should eat this down up.
Darren Berryhill comes in place of Jackson at tight end. Shepard the only wideout. Aikman with a pitch. Whoop, fumble. Who's got it? I think OU kept possession of the ball in Texas territory, and I think the Sooners will get a first down. Hagee made the hit. Darren Berryhill, along with number 75, Greg Johnson, were right down there.
Strange call when you're dominating the middle. The corner turned and the ball just knocked out of the runner. And and it just lays right there on the ground, and all the UT people fell without a view of the ball. Look at the size of it. How'd you like to feed him for a week?
And they say he's down to about 295 from 303. That's Greg Johnson. First down and 10. Aikman wants to throw. He's got Keith Jackson. And Hagee wrestles the football away from him. He threw a little behind Keith Jackson. He had him open at the 30-yard line and just missed him. Hagee did a heck of a job that time.
Here is again the matchup Oklahoma wanted to isolate on. First down, fake the running play, go long to Jackson, but Aikman does not lead him enough. And Hagee does a great job ripping the ball out of Jackson's hands. A well-thrown ball, and Oklahoma leads the football game.
Checking out is Don Maloney. Checking in, Damon Stell along with Patrick Collins. Collins will go wide to the upper part of your screen. Hand off to Carr. And boy, what a hit that time by Brent Hager, number 60, right at the line of scrimmage.
Texas is fortunate he made the hit too. The hole was open. Take a look at what happens in this play if Hager doesn't make the play. The tackle's held inside. And see, all the other Texas players were held inside also. There was a big hole there, but Hager filled it.
Timeout taken by Texas. 1:46 left in the first half. Tie game at 7 on the HSE Sports Network. The Cotton Bowl, 7-7 game. OU and Texas. The Sooners have the football just inside Texas territory.
Strange timeout call there. Texas took the timeout. But if OU makes this first down, Texas will have conserved time for OU's drive with that timeout.
Shepard and Stell, the wide receivers. Aikman will throw on third down. Here comes the blitz by the horns. Mike January, the first man in. And Eric Pope will be called for holding, I believe, by the Sooners. A loss of 10 on the play. Mike January, a 6'2", 227-pound senior out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. And he was really flying.
Dixon Holman tells us Texas will take the down and the long loss of yardage, about 11 yards. They bring the city of Austin and a couple of suburbs on this blitz. January breaks free over the center. Aikman has no chance. And let me go back and apologize to Fred Akers for second-guessing that timeout call. That was a dandy play, Fred.
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20, isn't it, Norm?
Isn't it? Yeah. Maybe that's why I'm here in, well.
Mike Winchester will be punting from his 30-yard line against that wind, but he gets a great kickoff. Eric Metcalf will signal for the fair catch and take it at the 20-yard line. So a pretty good kick again by Winchester, who had punted 4 times previously. 38 yards into that stiff breeze with no return by Metcalf, and that's the main thing.
1:20 to go in the first half. The score tied 7-all. Texas has 2 timeouts left to use. Given Fred Akers' tendency to be a bit conservative, though, you wonder if he won't just go ahead and run out the clock. Maybe run on first down and take his chances a little later when there's very little time left in the half.
Charles Hunter and Darren Norris split backfield behind Todd Dodge.
Wrong again.
Dodge to Norris. Shy of the 30 at about the 29. The last time you said that about Akers, he threw a 96-yard pass against Rice last week.
Freddie just backed it up in the end zone and said, well, let's go for all of it.
There's Willie Nelson, who will be on at halftime on HSE with the University of Texas band. You won't want to miss that. Second down, 1 needed. Hunter searches for the first down. He gets it at about the 33-yard line, so the Longhorns will have a first down with 52 seconds left as the clock stops to move the chains. Texas lines up immediately. Todd Dodge at the controls. Texas trying to get at least into field goal range for Jeff Ward. Straight drop back. Across the middle, intercepted by Oklahoma. He's got some running room. Bouncing outside is Ricky Dixon. Where is he going? And he finally dives down at his own 47-yard line. William Harris making the tackle for Texas. Ricky Dixon, number 29. A sophomore out of Dallas Wilmer Hutchins High School.
Telling you, Bill, some of the best hits on the field today are being made by their teammates. Dixon gets it, starts to do a little shake and bake here. Now watch the hit he's going to get from his own teammate. Brown, who knocks him back 10 yards before he can regroup.
We'll be back to check the final 32 seconds in just a moment from the Cotton Bowl. Time show coming up on HSE from the Cotton Bowl. First, the Pride of Oklahoma Marching Band. Some great plays from past Texas OU encounters, and then the show band of the Southwest, the University of Texas Marching Band, plus a surprise we know you will enjoy. That's coming up in just a few minutes at halftime on HSE. First down and 10, OU. And there it looks like it may be an illegal procedure call against number 75, Greg Johnson.
What happened was, I believe, Johnson lined up in the neutral zone, went to his stance, and once you've gone to your stance in the neutral zone, that's illegal procedure. There's Johnson on the bottom of your screen.
Yes, there he moved.
He shifted once, and then he went to reline, and there it was. If you're thinking field goal here, Lasher's the kicker for Oklahoma. He's not made a kick good from beyond 40 yards in 2 years. To get him inside 40 yards, Oklahoma must go 30 yards right now.
Damon Stell along with Lee Morris and Derek Shepard. Wideouts. Big blitz. Fumble. And they say Aikman was down at the 28-yard line. That was not a fumble. That was his helmet. I thought that was the football. His helmet, or somebody's helmet, went all the way to the 20. Chris Dulaban on the blitz.
Dulaban just cleans his clock. And that's Pope's helmet.
The Texas players were running after it, too. I thought it was the football. 3 seconds left, and I think OU now will just play out the half. That is the end of the first half of play. What a great, great game we've got, as we thought. The Longhorns 7 and the Sooners 7 in the first half. It's been defense for Texas and one offensive score for the Sooners. Let's go down to the field and Fred Akers.
Coach, you talked earlier in the game about defense and field position being so important in this game, and field position really set up your first score, didn't it?
Well, that's the only way I've ever seen this game played. For as long as I've been around it, it's been the kicking, defense, field position, and that's it. Today is no different.
They had a little bit of success running up the middle in the second quarter, and then you kind of shut it down toward the end of the second quarter. What adjustment did you make?
Well, we were doing a little guessing with them, which we have to do. They got a big line up there, and we were guessing, guess wrong.
The wind has been swirling, hasn't it? You went against it almost in both quarters.
We did, and maybe it'll be behind us this second half.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Back up to Bill Worrell.
Thank you, Steve Ross, one of the great coaches in the country. Fred Akers for the University of Texas. Halftime 7-7. We'll be back in just a moment on the HSE Sports. Kicking off will be the freshman Todd Thompson, number 91, who kicked it into the end zone against the wind in the second quarter. Metcalf will be back deep, but this baby is going all the way between the uprights almost and onto the track.
Bill, that ball was kicked 85 yards.
He has really got a foot.
My goodness, just think when he grows up and fills out, as they say.
And Tim Lasher from Plano, he's only a junior, so he'll be around another year. Oklahoma's kicking in very good, well, I can't say hands, can I?
No.
In very good feet.
They've had a lot of Uwe von Foot. Remember him? He was good while he was here.
Uwe von Schaman is on the sidelines with OU. Todd Dodge will open at quarterback. Darren Thomas, Charles Hunter. Hunter with the football, going wide to the right, and right there to meet him is number 40, Darrell Reed, the sophomore from Cypress Fairbanks, along with Sonny Brown. Strong safety, a loss of 3 by Charles Hunter, 6'2", 210-pound sophomore from Odessa, Texas.
Hunter was the leading Texas rusher in the first half. He had 18 yards. You know, the bad thing about running the ball against Oklahoma around the Oklahoma left end is their left end is faster than your running back most of the time. Reed can scoot.
Boy, he can fly. We'll talk more about him in a moment, and I'm sure we'll have a chance to. Dodd gives it off to Hunter. There is momentarily a hole. He goes wide to the left, and he runs into 4 white jerseys led by number 80, Troy Johnson. A loss of 2. The first 2 offensive plays by Texas, a net loss of 5 yards.
Hunter is trying to make something out of nothing here. He could have gotten almost the line of scrimmage. He decides to duck outside, and it winds up costing him about 2 or 3 yards. You really can't fault a running back, though, for trying to make something out of it, because the hardest thing for a running back to do is admit the play's over.
That was Paul Migliazzo, who just came off of the sidelines, a junior from Kansas City, who really made the play on that last one. This is 3rd down, and Darren Norris will get it for a gain of only 3. All not even back to the original line of scrimmage. Kevin Murphy, Darrell Reed on the tackle. Listen to the OU fans. They love their Sooner defense.
A lot of credit, since Casillas has gone out, should go to the freshman Curtis Wallace, who's done a very nice job in the middle.
John Telchik has punted 4 times for right at a 39.5-yard average, and he will be punting into that win inside his 5-yard line. OU should have good field position. Derek Shepard will get it on the run. He fumbles, and it's kicked around by OU, and recovering it is number 49, Scott Garl. Gerald Sinegar was right there. Billy Sims is on the sideline right now with Jerry. Let's go down there.
With me on the sideline is a guy that spent a few hours on the floor of the Cotton Bowl here, Billy Sims, Heisman Trophy winner now with the Detroit Lions. This has got to be a tough game for these kids out here today.
It is. It's always tough, and it's hot, and they're tired, and OU's tired, so it's really going to boil down to who wants it the best.
Why are so many games so close? Is it just the
Well, because
intensity?
of the intensity, the overall talent is not as outspread like it used to be, and the competition is tough.
And for the Oklahoma fans, will Billy Sims be back next year with the Detroit Lions?
Oh, yes, I'll be back. Right now, I'm still rehabbing in Detroit, so I decided to sit this year out and not take a chance on coming back too early.
Good. Billy, thanks for being with us.
Okay, thank you.
Billy Sims, Heisman Trophy winner at the University of Oklahoma. Bill?
Thank you, Jerry Park. Boy, what some great backs have the Sooners had down through the years, and he's just one of them. Second down play. Again, Lydell Carr. He rushed on first down for about 3. Chalmer Adams and Blake Bronner on the tackle for Texas. A gain of a couple, and it'll bring up 3rd down and about 7 needed for the Oklahoma offense.
Oklahoma going right back to the bread and butter, trying to reestablish the fullback. That's what got their offense cranked up for the touchdown drive the first half. They're trying to crank it right back up with the same people.
We'll break the wishbone again. Going wide to the right is Patrick Collins. Shepard to the lower part of your screen. Troy Aikman. Play action. And he throws it away, intended for Keith Jackson at the Texas 45. James Lott was all over Jackson, so now the Texas fans get a chance to cheer their defense.
Don't want to disappoint or discourage the Texas people, but if the game's going to be played with Oklahoma starting at midfield and Texas starting at their 10 or 15, Oklahoma's going to win the football game. So Texas must get this ball and reestablish field position if they're going to reestablish equilibrium in the game.
What a great job Winchester has done. He's averaging 50 yards a punt. This is his 5th one. It'll be inside the 10. Can the Sooners down it? Oh, and they muff it at the 1-yard line. Well, they're going to say that he killed it at the 1. Scott Garl, a defensive back for Oklahoma, kills it at the 1-yard line. Did he go into the end zone? Let's wait and see. The ball went into the end zone.
I don't understand that.
The Sooners get a break. We'll be back with more on the HSE Sports Network. Justice Rodney Anderson knocks it into the end zone. The referee, by some miraculous turn of events, never saw that ball hit right at his feet, but another referee did, so Texas gets the break and will bring it out to the 20-yard line. I formation. Hunter and Darren Norris again in the backfield. This is Hunter trying to go left. Now he'll come back right. He's got some running room if he can get outside. Look at that great Sooner pursuit. A gain of only 3, and he must have run about 35 yards.
But what a dynamite run by Charles Hunter, basically. That was a 5-yard loss that he turns into a 3-yard gain. Now, there's a great difference between being 2nd and 15 from your 15 and 2nd and 7 from your 23. Hunter makes a nice limp leg dip and go, gets it to the outside, gets it up to the 23. Oklahoma's all over him. As Darrell used to say, they're on him like white on rice.
Hunter said he was going to gain 2,000 yards this year, too. 2nd down. About 8. Again, it's Hunter. He ducks inside to about the 25. Richard Reed and Dante Jones on the tackle for the Sooners. Again, a gain of about 2, and it'll bring up a 3rd down and about 5 needed for a Texas 1st down.
Early in the National League playoff game, the Cardinals lead the Dodgers 4-1. Third period, Rice leads TCU 17-10. Air Force 7-0 over Navy second quarter. Minnesota 21-3 over Northwestern third. Florida 17-10 over Tennessee fourth. Ohio State 28-7 over Indiana. Goodbye winning streak for Indiana.
Everett Gay, Gabe Johnson flanked out to the left. Again a running play. And again it's going nowhere. Richard Reed, the junior from Fort Worth, Texas, was all over Charles Hunter that time. And John Telchik will have to punt again.
This becomes more critical with every failure on offense for Texas. They have again gotten the ball at their 20. They have again failed to move. Again, Oklahoma should have the ball somewhere around their 40-yard line. And you're playing Russian roulette with 5 bullets in the chambers when you keep doing that.
38-yard average for Telchik on 5 punts. And he gets off a dandy this time. Derek Shepard all the way back to his 31-yard line. He takes it on the run, and it was a pretty good gamble as he got up across the 35, run out of bounds at about the 37-yard line by Johnson for Texas. A 46-yard punt off the bare foot of John Telchik.
After that catch by Shepard, how long do you think it'll be before Switzer's heart returns to his normal position instead of the place in its throat where it is now?
Well, he comes from a family that has had some success at OU before. Woody and then Darrell and now Derek. And they're quick enough to jump through a keyhole. Troy Aikman at quarterback. Wishbone. Handoff to the right halfback. That's Damon Stell across the 40 to about the 41-yard line. Chalmer Adams on the tackle for Texas.
It's appropriate here to bring up a play. OU doesn't have many exotics in their repertoire, but they do have one that's been successful. Shepard's a fine passer. Last year they brought him off the wing on a reverse twice. He threw the ball long twice, both times to the tight end Jackson twice. A touchdown and 90 total yards from those 2 completions last year. And this is the place on the field you use an exotic. And he's out in the right spot because he's on the and now Aikman has to call a timeout. However, he didn't have the alignment he wanted, so we'll take a timeout with 9:26 left to play in the third quarter. The game tied at 7. Aikman will talk it over with Barry Switzer on the HSE Sports Network. Texas and Oklahoma and elsewhere around the country enjoying this Texas OU game on the HSE Sports Network. Bill Worrell along with Norm Hitchkus going in motion. Damon Stell for Oklahoma. Aikman hands off instead to number 25. James McKinney making the tackle. And Gerard Senegal for Texas. That was Stafford, who wasn't supposed to play because of an ankle injury.
Anthony Stafford, a 5'6" freshman out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Where does Oklahoma keep getting? I thought there was a 95-player scholarship limit, and they got 95 running backs at Oklahoma.
It's incredible. Barry pulls them out of a hat. Third down, 6 needed. So far, it's been a defensive struggle all the way. Aikman, he's going to keep, and he can only get across the 45. Brett Hager that time with a great tackle for the Longhorns. Here comes the punting team for the Sooners. The Texas defense returns the favor.
Well, now let's flip that coin over. You aren't going to keep getting the ball at the 40-yard line for the rest of the afternoon against a good team like Texas. Oklahoma twice with a couple of first downs would have been in field goal position. They couldn't even get one.
Winchester, who has a 48.5-yard average on 6 punts today.
Oh.
Another beauty. He's got the toe up this time. Metcalf for the fair catch, and it bounces into the end zone, and it will be a touchback for Texas. A 54-yard punt off the foot of Mike Winchester. This telecast is authorized under rights granted to Home Sports Entertainment and KOCO-TV by the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. It is intended solely for the non-commercial use and entertainment of the viewing audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this broadcast without the express written consent from HSE is prohibited. Announcers for this broadcast were selected and are employed by Home Sports Entertainment. First down and 10 now, as it's a repeat performance for Texas. Oklahoma kicking it into the end zone. Texas having its first and 10. A short man this time. Darren Norris gets the handoff. Kevin Murphy on the tackle for Texas. Murphy, the senior from Plano, Texas. Got a hardship ruling in 1984, did Murphy, so that he could play this senior year. And there is Darren Norris, 5'11", 195 pounds, out of El Camino, California. He's a sprinter, and boy, did he have a great start against Stanford this year.
Well, he was averaging 11 yards a carry coming in today. He just popped Stanford for 154 yards rushing.
High formation for the Horns. 2nd down and 7. And off to Hunter over left guard. He zigs a couple of times only to the 22-yard line. Paul Milazzo on the tackle for Oklahoma.
Let us update you on the Texas offense and put that in quotations in the second half. They have now run 8 plays. They have gained a total of 1 yard. For the game, they have run 33 plays and gained 94 yards. That's under 2 yards a play. Under 3 yards a play.
Everett Gay to the left, Gabe Johnson to the right. High formation behind Todd Dodge. 3rd down, Texas needs 7. Dodge throws a ball that was absolutely end over end. He was hit on the play. When he released it, it was intended for Gabriel Johnson, Liddell Glenn, Sonny Brown. But a lot of pressure that time by Kevin Murphy. Number 39 made Dodge have to throw it too early. And it was a poor pass, and it never got there. And John Telchik would use that right foot one more time.
Again, Texas does not move the ball away from their 20-yard line. Again, Oklahoma will get the ball in prime field goal position.
You know, Norm, it's a game, it seems to me like it's coached not to be lost.
People have said that before about this game. You know, good high punt. Whoops.
It hit off an Oklahoma player. Texas has it inside the 40-yard line. I believe it's Chris Dulaban for Texas. Let's wait and see what the call is. The OU player backed into Derek Shepard. Texas will have the football. David Fulbright, number 29. Watch the Oklahoma player back into Derek Shepard, his own man. That created the touch ball situation, and Fulbright was right there to get it. Mike Aljo was the man for Oklahoma who backed into Shepard.
I'm not so sure, Bill. He wasn't blocked into him. Oklahoma's arguing, but even if he was blocked into him, that's not Texas's fault.
Okay, we've got another angle. Let's watch it. All of you OU fans. Right now, Barry Switzer awfully unhappy. And after referee Dixon Holman talks it over, let's get a better view of it now. Here's Shepard trying to make the fair catch. There's Aljo.
He had been blocked. I'm sorry, Fulbright had hit Aljo, and he sort of spun backwards. That is not interference against Texas. That is a very solid call by the officials. And another big break, Bill.
Yes, indeed, Norm. A big, big break for Texas, who had been down its own end of the field. Now the football has changed direction. Texas with the field position at the 46-yard line of OU. 6:40 left to play in the 3rd quarter. He's going for all of it. Todd Dodge throws into the middle, and it's intercepted. Brian Bosworth. And Texas will be called for holding. I think OU will keep the football.
The flag is right at midfield. It is almost certainly a holding penalty against the University of Texas. But let's make sure.
Well, already Tony Casillas is out of the game with an injury. It is holding Texas. Oklahoma will have it. And now Bosworth is down.
Dodge throws a jump ball here. He looks left for the long man. He's covered. He fires for the tight end right straight into double coverage. It's popped up in the air, and Bosworth gets it.
7-7. Longhorns and the Sooners in the seesaw battle from the Cotton Bowl. We'll be back with more on the HSE Sports Network. The Oklahoma bench, that is Brian Bosworth. He has been down for 2 minutes. It is not a knee. It looks like he may have fallen on the football after the interception, but the trainers are still working him over, and this could really be tough because already out of the game is Tony Casillas, and you would hate to lose another great one like Bosworth, but it looks like he's okay.
Imagine, of all the things that have been going on in the field today, the thing that eventually hurts you is the football, and that may be it. He landed smack dab on it. Tell you what, Bosworth may be a little groggy. I wouldn't want to be the football either. He's a load. I bet you hear it the ground when he hit it.
Well, he just got to the sidelines and led some cheers for the OU fans, and so it looks like he's going to be right back into the game. Jerry Park is checking into it. We'll have a report for you in just a moment. The Sooners have made a break of their own. Patrick Collins goes wide to the right along with with Derek Shepard. 1st and 10 for Oklahoma. Collins in motion. Aikman wants to go upstairs, looking across the middle, and he's got his big tight end, I believe, Keith Jackson, inside the 40, John Hagee on the tackle for Texas, but it was a gain on first down of 6 yards.
Let us update you on a couple of scores from around the country. Just dropped them in. Rice now ahead of TCU 24-13. The Ohio State lead over Indiana is going to 35-7. South Carolina 14, Duke nothing. Auburn 31, Florida State 17. That's third quarter. Clemson 24-0 over Virginia. Sometimes things never change. They always hammer Virginia.
Hand off to Lydell Carr. The throwback over the 40, dives to about the 41. Brian Espinoza wrapped him up for Texas. So it'll bring up a 3rd and 3 for the Oklahoma Sooners. Very conservative type football game. Defenses dominating on both sides of the football. 7-7 with 5:35 left to play in the third quarter. Aikman, Leon Perry, and he stopped in the backfield by Ty Allert, the big play man for the Longhorns. Number 48, a senior out of Houston, Texas, Northbrook High School. And Winchester will have to come on to punt it for the 8th time this game.
Greg Beislein's keeping our statistics. Gregory, have we had a first half, a second half first down? I don't believe we have. Not a second half first down yet.
Winchester is capable of reaching the end zone or inside the 10. Here come the Horns trying to block it again. The point way up in the air. Metcalf will try to field it at the 15, and he is tackled by a whole swarm of Sooners at about the 17-yard line, led by that number 49 again, Scott Garl. He is a tremendous special teams player.
What a terrific play by Metcalf, though, who almost dropped that football. He got it down around thigh level.
You talked a moment ago about the 2 running backs 2 years ago. Here is one of them. Edwin Simmons, number 33, has just checked in for Texas.
He is also the best halfback at throwing the pass on the University of Texas team.
And he also leads the Texas running backs in fumbles.
Yes, he does.
Fred Akers doesn't want to talk about. Bosworth is back in the game, number 44, and he's right in there along with Paul Milazzo for Oklahoma. A gain of only maybe 1 by Simmons.
Hey, don't say only maybe 1, pal. That doubles their offensive output this half.
Edwin Simmons, 6'4", a 235-pounder, junior from Hawkins. He had a 67-yarder his freshman year right here against Oklahoma to break that game wide open, and maybe Fred Akers is hoping history will repeat itself 2 years later. I formation, Simmons dots the I. Hand off to the first man through. That is Jerome Johnson, number 35. Bosworth again with Kevin Murphy on the tackle.
If everybody on this club were fully healthy, this would be the starting backfield. Edwin Simmons is undeniably just a huge talent. And Johnson would have been the starting fullback except for a very severe knee injury suffered in the spring. They didn't think they'd have Johnson this year.
Talk about your little ones with Metcalf and Darren Norris. Check these guys out. Simmons at 235, Johnson at 225. Now they are in the split backfield. That is Everett Gay along with Gabriel Johnson, split wide to the right. And moving in the backfield was Simmons. Illegal procedure called against Texas. Steve Bryan was just in there to make sure.
Bill, why is that illegal procedure?
He may have already said, I don't know, and then moved.
Well, but as long as no one else is in motion for Texas, Simmons was not going toward the line of scrimmage. He was moving laterally. Delay of game. It wasn't motion.
That was the call. Delay of game on Texas and Todd Dodge as he gets the signal from Fred Akers. Third down now at about 11. Dodge rolling right. Now he throws and he underthrows. A wide open Everett Gay at about the the 30-yard line. There was extreme pressure that time from Steve Bryan and Curtis Williams, number 93. And that Boomer Sooner defense is booming here today. Telchik will punt again. He has already punted 8 times. So has Mike Winchester. 16 punts so far in this game, and we've still got 3 minutes left to play in the third quarter.
Counting the 5 yards they were penalized for delay of game, the Texas offense has now snapped the ball 13 times in the second half, and they have a -1 yard.
Telchik will be on about his 5-yard line when he punts it. He got one off the side of his foot. Derek Shepard feels it on the run all the way back to his 36-yard line. He's trying to pick up that little zone back there that he can flit through, and he's at about the 45-yard line. Kip Cooper, the tackler for Texas.
Also the touchdown scorer for Texas.
So again, the Sooners with great field position will start from their own 46-yard line. Troy Aikman brings in the play. You just wonder how long Texas can continue to keep this up, giving Oklahoma all this great field position, Norm.
Again, Oklahoma from this spot on the field can try almost anything they want. They've been very vanilla all day. If they've got any of those exotics, if you've got any of the weirdos, if they don't start taking advantage of the field position soon, it could cost them. We've seen games, Bill, where teams dominate the ball for 15, 17 minutes, don't get any points, and that winds up beating them.
There we see the complete sellout crowd. Half of this stadium decked out in burnt orange and white, the other half in the red and white of Oklahoma. Obviously some Texas fans right there.
Yeah, but you can't be sure. Willie Nelson was wearing a red headband, and I don't think he was for OU today.
He may transcend all of it. We're ready to play now. The Sooners at the 46-yard line. 2:49 left to play in the third. That's Troy Aikman. Again at the controls, Wishbone, Leon Perry, Lydell Carr, and Patrick Collins. Aikman will throw on first down. No pressure to speak of, and he'll run with it. Texas territory, 45. He's at the 40. Count it off at the 30. Down to the Texas 27-yard line. Troy Aikman with a big play. Tony Griffin making the tackle for Texas.
The Texas backs did a terrific job covering the OU receivers, but the Texas defensive linemen never, ever put pressure on Aikman. They allowed him to look and finally find a lane. He makes a nice move there, and they are already at the point where Lasher could try a field goal right now.
A 28-yard run for Troy Aikman, and that is the first down of this half by either team. 2:20 left to play in the third quarter. That's Leon Perry in motion. Hand off to Carr, and he's going nowhere. Petkovich and James McKinney, the two tacklers for the Longhorns. Lydell Carr that time took quite a shot.
Notice how well we've refrained from all those puns about car crashes and things like that.
Thank you. Checking in now, Brian Espinoza for Texas. Chalmer Adams will come out. Steve Llewellyn remains in. Carr has carried 17 times for 43 yards. That's only a 2.5-yard average. Second down and 10. Aikman going upstairs. He wants the 6. He's going to Shepard. Incomplete. Boy, a real battle going on down there with Shepard and Tillman.
OU got what they wanted. They got Shepard one-on-one with Tillman, and this was a very, very, very even matchup. As Shepard went down the right sideline, the ball was on the money from Aikman, but Tillman made a very fine play.
It'll be another third down for Oklahoma. The Sooners have converted 6 times in 14 third downs. Texas 2 of 11.
Bill, if they don't move the ball at all from here, it's going to be a 43-yard kick for Lasher.
Lee Morris is the wide receiver. Aikman fumbled the snap from center, and another big play by the Texas defense. Mike January came crashing through, but that time Troy Aikman did not get the ball cleanly from Travis Simpson.
Here's Lasher. He is from inside the 40, 14 for his last 16, but the 2 field goals he's missed this year were from outside the 40. This will be, when they set it down, a 44-yard attempt by Lasher.
Lasher on the year, 4 of 6. 7 of 7 in the extra point department. Right down at the 34. Tack on 10. It'll be a 44-yarder, and it's no good. Off to the right. And the Texas defense holds off OU one more time. The game remains tied at 7 from the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. This is the HSE Sports Network. Welcome back to the Cotton Bowl. 7-7 tie. 52 seconds left to play in the third quarter. The Texas offense will have the football. And there you see a revealing statistic. Oklahoma 42 yards rushing this half. Texas with only 9. Simmons and Johnson stay in the game. I formation. Todd Dodge remains at quarterback. Simmons hard running over right guard. Dante Jones and Darrell Reed on the tackle. A gain of about 2, and he gained it when he fell forward.
The extraordinary thing about the 9 yards is, gee, people say 9 yards. 42 isn't much to be proud of either, especially when you realize more than half of them came on the scramble by Aikman.
Rick Houston checks into the lineup for Texas. And going out will be Billy Ray Todd. Gabe Johnson and Everett Gay. Wide receivers to the lower part of your screen. On second down, again, it's Simmons. Nowhere to go at the 31-yard line. Texas trying to block Curtis Williams, number 93, the freshman from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. The clock winds down. This will be the final play of the third quarter. That's it. We've got 15 minutes of slam-bam action. Troy Aikman again was the big man last week against Kansas State. 10 of 14 for 177 yards. He hasn't had much to do today for Oklahoma. It's been that tough Texas defense. On the other hand, the Sooners have been even tougher against Texas Todd Dodge and company. We saw Brett Stafford early in the game. We haven't seen him since. It's been all Dodge as Russell Hayes flicks out to the top of your screen. Donovan Pitts is in the game. Ooh, what a hit by Brian Bosworth on Eric Metcalf. Welcome to big-time college football, is what Bosworth is saying.
You know, it's going to go down as a heck of a play by Bosworth, but all he was doing was blitzing. He was after Dodge. He said he's going to throw, he's going to throw. He was right after Dodge, and he ran right into Metcalf carrying the football. Thank you very much.
And Eric did not like that. Telchik will be punting now for the 9th time in this game. He's averaging 38.8 per punt. Gets it off the side of his foot. Derek Shepard will have some running room with it at the 35, and he almost gets up to shoot to about the 40-yard line. Again, good field position by Oklahoma. A 45-yard punt by John Telchik. Cooper on the tackle for Texas. Here comes Aikman and company again.
Only one thing has slightly changed now for Oklahoma, and that's the fact that they'll have to go into the breeze in the fourth quarter. It is not a terribly strong wind, but it certainly rates consideration when you realize your field goal kicker is not a long-distance kicker to begin with. However, Bill, that lead-footed Thompson kid could try from further out than Lasher if it came down to that late in the game.
Wishbone. Aikman will keep. Fumbles into the air and out of bounds at about the 36-yard line. Brett Hager made the hit on Troy Aikman. He coughed it up, but fortunately for Oklahoma, it went over on their sideline where I thought Barry Switzer was going to recover it. A loss of 3.
The pitch man is knocked down back here. Aikman doesn't realize it, throws it out to him, and he's really fortunate he threw a terrible pitch, or he would have thrown it right to the Texas defender, Allard.
Well, Norm, you get the idea. The defenses are so overpowering in this contest. That's where this game is going to be won. It's going to be a big turnover somewhere down the line. 14:07 left to play.
Or it could be 7-7 at the finish.
Aikman, Shepard down and out. He's got him at the 49-yard line, just shy of midfield, close to an Oklahoma first down, maybe a yard shy. Eric Jeffers, the defender for Texas, a 12-yard gain. Aikman to Shepard.
Only the second really good throw today by Aikman. He hit Jackson in the first half that started a drive that resulted in an OU touchdown. And we've got a big personal foul call about to be walked off. Apparently back there after Aikman threw the ball. No? There appeared to be a flag. What was it?
Maybe offside.
Okay,
yes.
not a personal foul.
Dixon Holman.
There's
talking to Eric Pope, one of the co-captains for Oklahoma. He says, no, we don't want the offsides. We'll take the play. Aikman is now 4 of 9 for 67 yards in this game, and he really reared back and threw that one.
Well thrown, that ball. After a succession of really wobbly passes, Aikman had something on that one.
Third down, and Oklahoma needs to get right to the 50-yard line for a first down. Two tight ends, Jackson and Berryhill. Power formation for the Sooners. And he's got it. He's got more. Aikman, as he plows ahead for a gain of about 4, maybe 5. Steve Llewellyn, the tackler for Texas, and that kind of surprised the Longhorns, I believe.
What really threw Texas off was the fact that Aikman went on a long count there. He'd been going on fairly quick counts all day, and the long count really froze the Texas defensive line, and the OU line pushed him back 5 yards.
Shepard is back in the game. Carr at fullback with Perry and Collins in the wishbone. And it's Carr to about the 44-yard line. Blake Bronner, the tackler for Texas. Field position in the favor of the Oklahoma Sooners. 12:52 left to play in the game. Chalmer Adams checks in for Texas, and Llewellyn goes out.
You get a feeling a lot of the substitution in the defensive line is because, as Steve mentioned earlier, Texas has been on there a long time on a hot field.
They really have. Second down and 9. Aikman on the keep. Now he pitches out. Lots of running room for Collins at the 25. Cuts it up. He could score. Touchdown, Oklahoma. Patrick Collins, and you said earlier, Norm, they don't pitch the ball very often at OU.
Very, very little. See, Texas came up, the defensive back for Texas Braggs, the cornerback, came up and popped the quarterback. Well, the corner is usually the man who would have responsibility for the pitch man. Aikman read it, hit it, 7.
Senegal had it, and that great speed by Oklahoma and Collins, he was able to turn the corner, and OU may have turned the corner in this contest. 14-7 over Texas, 12:25 left to play, but don't go away on HSE. By Oklahoma, and the great field position has finally paid off in 7 points for the Sooners, and they are now up on Texas 14-7. Todd Thompson will be kicking off. There's Patrick Collins, his great speed as he got around the corner on the Texas defense. Norman Nunn lets this ball bounce. He better field it. Now he does inside the 3. 15, look out. He's got great speed, and he's almost to the 30-yard line. Norman Nunn, 5'6", 180-pounder, a senior out of Austin Travis, a 27-yard return.
He's part of Texas's religious backfield. Nunn and Pope, tailback and fullback.
Big play by OU. 45-yard run by Patrick Collins, capped it off. A 5-play drive, 60 yards.
Now Texas really has a problem. They've got to move the football. No longer can they be conservative. No longer can they say we'll play for a break. No longer can they say, well, Oklahoma will turn it over, do something wrong. They've got 12-17 to go, and they need 7. And this is a club that's had the ball 13 times today, Bill, and has 4 first downs.
Well, Norm, if they were able to run it, they still have plenty of time to run it, but they just have not been able to move it on the ground against the Sooners. High backfield. Todd Dodge will go upstairs. Here comes a big rush. I don't know how he got out of the way that time. He did not miss Steve Bryan, however. Bryan really decked Dodge about the 31.
And Curtis Wallace just about takes his head off the nose guard. Whoop, wasn't there.
That's Curtis Williams. You know, he's just now getting his feet on the ground. He's never played being behind Tony Casillas, you know.
I tell you what, Bill, if Todd Dodge should ever be happy he wasn't 4 inches taller, that's the time. Because Williams would have taken the 4 inches.
Second down, Texas needs 9 for a first. Split backfield. Here comes the blitz. Bosworth, look out. Dodge tries to get it away, and it's incomplete. At the 35-yard line. Curtis Williams again and applying the pressure. The pass was intended for Eric Metcalf, but the pressure by Williams made Dodge throw it before he wanted to. And Todd Dodge is not having that great a day against the Sooner rush. Texas is only 2 of 12 in third down conversions, too, and here comes another one.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dan Marino wouldn't have that great a day if somebody was pouring in on him like Oklahoma has. Hey, Williams is a freshman. Gene Chilton's probably their best offensive lineman, and Williams is handling it.
Third down, 8 needed. Again, here comes Reed on the pressure. Dodge has no time at all. He unloads it at the 45. Incomplete, and that Sooner defense prevails again. Odell Glenn was covering Curtis Williams, number 93, again on the rush. A beleaguered Todd Dodge and Texas. Pelchik will punt now for the 6th time in this half.
Texas has now possessed the ball 14 times today and made 4 first downs.
Just an unbelievable effort by the Sooner defense. This will be the 10th punt for John Pelchik. He's averaging just over 39, as you see there on your screen. He's had a month. Good kick by Pelchik. It drives Derek Shepard all the way back to the 10-yard line. There's a flag on the play, however. OU could have been offside. Gerard Senegal. Let's check the penalty. Even if it was against Oklahoma, it would not be enough for a Texas first down. Nope, it's illegal procedure, Texas. A 58-yard punt, wipe it out. We'll take it back. Pelchik will have to do it again. Let's go down to the OU sideline. Jerry Park is standing by with Spencer Tillman.
With me is Spencer Tillman, the man who would have been out here playing in this football game had it not been for a pulled hamstring. Patrick Collins, who just scored that touchdown. I know that's a great thrill for you. Look a little bit like you.
Oh, yes, it really did. Patrick is a great athlete, there's no doubt. In our minds, our coaches' minds, he's capable of doing anything on the field at any particular time. So he is showing his talent this afternoon.
That touchdown has got to pump up Oklahoma.
Oh, it does. It's obviously a motivating factor. Anytime you got any back out here, we can put in the game, feel confident when Patrick Collins obviously just shown his speed. We're excited.
You've got a couple of more Texas games in your career.
Yes, I do. I have one more, and I'm going to come back. I'm coming back next week. I'm coming back hard.
Great. Good luck to you. Spencer Tillman, number 20, halfback for the University of Oklahoma. Now let's go back upstairs to Bill. Bill?
Brett Akers talking it over down on the sideline, trying to figure out what he can do to help that Texas offense. What a great back Spencer Tillman has been, just beleaguered by injuries, hasn't he, Norm?
He really has. You know, here's a problem for Texas. Your coverage team has just sprinted the length of the field. Now they've got to do it again. You often pop long returns in situations like this.
Not near as good a punt. Shepard going left, trying to get the alley, runs into his own man at the 36-yard line. Senegal gets credit for the tackle for Texas, but look at the difference in field position, 25 yards.
No doubt a big penalty for being in motion against Texas. And now Oklahoma can go back to a conservative game. They can go back to the fullback plunges. They can make the clock work. It's 11:05 left in the fourth quarter with OU up 14-7.
We'll be back with more in a moment. The Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. OU leading by 7, and now the clock becomes a big ally of the Sooners. 11:05 left to play. The Longhorns need the football, and they need some offense. Right now, the Horns are on defense. Troy Aikman with the wishbone. And as Norm Hitchcock told you a moment ago, OU be content to gobble up that clock right now. That's Damon Stell around the left side for about 5 yards. Ty Allert runs him out of bounds for the Horns.
On the sideline for Texas, Brett Stafford was warming up and now has stopped. I don't know if that means Stafford will be coming back in. It would seem strange to send your running quarterback into a game where you're really going to be called on to throw the ball in the last 10 minutes, I would think.
Well, the way OU's coming, maybe a couple of quarterback draws would loosen that rush up a little bit.
First of all, the defense has got to stop.
Second down and only about 4.5 for Oklahoma. Big running up the middle by Carr, and he has the Oklahoma first down at about the 47-yard line. Richard Peavy on the tackle. Eric Pope and Travis Simpson with great blocks. The center and the left guard. Watch them fire out.
The middle of that OU line has not dominated all day, but there have been periods where it's taken control of the football game. If they can control the next few minutes, Texas is in major trouble.
First downs, Oklahoma way ahead on that statistic. Aikman hands it off to Anthony Stafford, and he goes out of bounds at about the 50, and flags fly everywhere.
It appeared that one of the Texas defenders got a hand on the face mask of Stafford as he bounced outside. Let's see what the call is. Trying to get it all sorted out here.
That's the call. And we'll watch it again. This time, Stafford, just a little guy.
It was Aldridge. Ooh! And he held for a while. They can call this 5 or 15 now. They're going to call it 5. Bill, just a note, remember that 24-0 Clemson lead over Virginia? They win the game 27-24. You don't think there's some deep breathing going on in the Clemson locker room? Rice 34-20 over TCU with 7 minutes left.
Watson Brown going to win his first conference game, it looks like, at Rice. First down, about 3 to go. Carr dances his way inside the 45 to about the 42. Chalmer Adams on the tackle. Let's go to Steve Ross on the Texas sideline.
Bill Worrell, two things. First of all, the heat is finally getting to the Texas defense. They were on the field for so long in the third quarter. They're tired. The other thing is Todd Dodge has an injured wrist. We will probably see Brett Stafford the next time Texas has the football. Back to you.
I thought he looked a little shaken up when he came off the sidelines on that last sack, Dodge, and so Stafford will have to go back in at quarterback if Texas gets the football back. Right now, Oklahoma driving and chewing up that clock. 10:08, 10:07 left to play. Texas shows a blitz here. Aikman changing it at the line of scrimmage. Straight ahead handoff to Carr, who bursts over left guard. To the Texas 35, Richard Peavy on the tackle.
It appears the Texas defense is just flat worn out at this point. They're trying to get a breather here. Brilliant move by Oklahoma to go on a long count, because when you're tired, you're worried when the snap count's going to come. When you're flat, you tend to lay back a little more, and Oklahoma is really nailing them at the line of scrimmage now.
Second down, 2 needed for the Sooners.
Ooh.
And that time, Chalmer Adams almost got the handoff from Troy Aikman. Aikman went to hand off to Lydell Carr, and it's a good thing he got it in there just in the nick of time. And the timeout is called on the field. We've got a player down. Let's see who it is.
I believe it's the ball carrier, Carr. Adams landed on top of him.
We'll take a break right now with 9:07 left to play. The Sooners trying to hold on to a 14-7 lead over Texas on HSE. Lydell Carr still down on the field for the Sooners, and now he's up on his feet, and I think his breath was just knocked out of him, so he'll be okay. It is really hot. They had predicted rain last night and then started changing the forecast, and about 20 minutes before the kickoff, the sun came out here in Dallas, and it has been hot and humid.
Critical play for the Texas defense. Right now, Lasher is not in field goal position. It would be a 53-yard kick, but a first down here by OU would grind off more time and get him into field goal position.
Third down. The Sooners need 3 to keep the football. Texas wants it. Handoff up the middle. This is Rodney Anderson, and I don't think he'll have the necessary yardage. He's just inside the Texas 35. Are you in 4-down territory if you're Oklahoma?
No, not with their defense. I wouldn't consider it all going for it here. They're going to, apparently, but you can afford to turn this over to Texas at their 10. I'd feel safe about that, wouldn't you?
Texas brings in their goal line defense. This could turn it around for the Longhorns if they can stop Oklahoma. If the Sooners make a first down, they keep the football. Time running out. 8:15 left to play. Needs a yard.
Didn't get it.
He didn't get it. A handoff was for Damon Stell. Mark Petkovich shot through and made the tackle, and this could turn it around. Listen to the Texas fans. A gamble by OU that failed.
Bill, if Texas comes back in this football game, and let's again say they've shown no offensive tendency to move the football even a little bit, that'll be a move second guessed by Barry Switzer. He had 5 feet to go. His defense had not given up much. And Todd Dodge is going to come back out there.
Todd Dodge again will be the quarterback for Fred Akers. We'll check the backfield for you. Looks like Hunter may be in there at tailback again. Pitch back to Hunter, coming wide to the left. 35. He's got a man to beat. Good pursuit that time by Oklahoma. Gain of only 2. Ricky Dixon did a good job of coming up that time, along with Derek White, number 14.
The tailback run got him a few yards, but realize the tailback run does one other thing. It sets up a possible tailback pass, and it also sets up a possible reverse. That's a companion play they use to set up other exotic plays.
Look out for Metcalf this time. He's just checked into the game along with Jerome Johnson. High backfield.
Here it is.
And Bosworth wouldn't let him get the reverse off. Brian Bosworth tackled Todd Dodge before he could get the ball to Eric Metcalf.
That's exactly what they were setting up. They'd run the tailback wide to set up the reverse off the wing, and Bosworth said, "Pal."
Oh, here comes Rambo one more time.
Holy cow. Somebody should have at least brush blocked Bosworth, who twice now has come in and really fouled up Metcalf plays.
He has 9 tackles on the game. He has messed up a whole bunch more than that. Dodge, here comes a blitz. Look out. Oh, number 80, Troy Johnson, had him in his sights all the way, and that Sooner defense is just too much for Texas.
This is simply a missed block on the left side of the Texas line. Here comes Johnson flying right through. Now, you say that's a linebacker. No, no. That's a lineman. Somebody had primary responsibility to block him and just never did it.
Troy Johnson was a tight end at A-Leaf Hastings. Here goes Telchik with another kick, his 11th of the day. Shepard almost fumbled it at the 30-yard line, and he regained it. So Oklahoma will have it. And just as the OU fans were beginning to celebrate, all the breath went out of them when Shepard fumbled. Oklahoma leading by 7, 6:11 left to play on HSE. Story today at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas is the Oklahoma defense being quite offensive to Texas. Unbelievable. Oklahoma 249 total yards. Texas with only 85. Here comes the OU offense. 14-7 Sooners. 6:11 left to play. Handoff outside to Collins. That same play he scored on, 45-yarder, and he runs out of bounds for a gain of 6. Stephen Braggs and Eric Jeffries on the tackle. 6-yard gain on first down.
Major hit for the OU offense. Now they can go right back to the old fullback blast play, wedge out a first down, keep the clock running. That's the only thing negative on that play for OU. Going out of bounds, stop the clock, 6:04.
Lee Morris is the wide receiver for the Sooners. Second down, about 3 needed. 6:04 left to play. Handoff up the middle to Leon Perry, and he's close to a first down. Blake Bronner is the tackler for Texas.
Texas offensively has now had the ball today 15 times. They've gained 85 yards. That's 5 2/3 yards every possession.
Telchik has punted 11 times.
My goodness gracious. OU is, without Vicious, is dominated.
Quarterback sneak, and he has the first down. All he had to do was get the point of the football across the 40. Llewellyn in on the tackle for Texas, and it'll be 1st and 10 Sooners with 5:28 left to play.
This is where the guy analyzing the game is start to say, the clock is becoming a factor. The clock's always a factor, but it's starting to tick down on the life of Texas. One more first down for OU, and you figure Texas is only going to get the ball one more time this game.
I get the feeling the clock, if we stopped it right now and played till 6 o'clock tonight, wouldn't be a factor.
Yeah, I think the factor in this, it's offside Texas.
So give 5 yards to the Sooners. It's just one of those games where the OU defense has just been overpowering Texas. There has been no way the Longhorns can move the football today.
And on the Texas side of the ball, their defense has played spectacularly. Given the amount of time they've been on the field, given how little rest their offense has been able to give them, that they've only allowed a really potent OU team with a dynamite line, only 14 points. Fred Akers must just be button-popping proud of his defense if he can only get some points out of his offense. Uh-oh, see, again now, we got offside Texas. 1st and 5 for OU. Now we go right back on the OU side to slamming the ball down the belly, and 2 or 3 yards a run is fine for them.
That's the 4th penalty of the day for Texas, 20 yards. Oklahoma penalized only twice. 4:45 left to play.
Texas defense pinching the middle.
Carr gains big yardage anyway. He's still going. Inside the 40, all the way to the Texas 34-yard line. Lydell Carr before Blake Bronner can bring him down. It's too much Sooners.
Well, Carr got in about 12 fender benders in this run. There's 1. There's 2 as a shot at him. Here comes 3. Stiff arms him away. Steps outside. 4 hits him. Here comes 5 and 6, and down goes Carr. What a run by Carr.
A gain of 20 yards for Lydell Carr. Rodney Anderson checks in his place now. 1st and 10, Oklahoma. Somebody on the right side of the OU offensive line moved that time, and I think it'll be a legal procedure. Looked like Gary Bennett, number 74.
Tell you what, as big as those OU people are, when they get down in that 3-point stance, they may be a 1.5 feet apart, but they're still wall to wall.
You can't see the sun on the other side of the state. You know, Johnson's 300. Hudson is 280. Eric Pope is 266. Simpson got up to 263. Then you got Bennett. He's at a mere 257. Anthony Phillips at 274. Wow.
And realize a very good starting guard for them, Pickett, is a mere wisp of a lad at 275. He's hurt today.
That was a shot of Lydell Carr on the sidelines. He's had a great day. 80 yards carrying the football. 1st down and 15 for Oklahoma. Hand off to Collins, left side. He's got the lane again. And he's at the 32-yard line. Leon Perry with a great block. James Lott on the tackle. A gain of 8 yards for Oklahoma. So they get 8 of the 15 back on 1st down.
What sets up the yardage gain on this play for Collins is the way he dips into the line with his right shoulder and right leg. It sucks the Texas defenders to thinking he's going to dip up the middle. He dips in, sucks them in, dips outside, and he's gone. That could have been a touchdown again, but for a step.
Well, and I'll tell you, that freshman Perry has made a few dandy blocks over there to spring him loose today, too. 2nd down and 7. Handoff right up the middle to Rodney Anderson. Inside the Texas 30 to about the 27. Clock still ticking. 3:28 left to play. Oklahoma 14-7. The only Texas touchdown coming when the defense recovered a fumble in the air and scored. The Texas offense has really been unable to move the football at all on OU. Anthony Stafford now in the ball game along with Carr and Perry in the wishbone. Oklahoma needs 3 for a 1st. Aikman wants to keep, and he's not going to make it.
They marked the ball just inside the 30. Now that would make Lasher's kick 46 yards. The longest field goal of Timmy Lasher's life was 46 yards 2 years ago.
Well, James McKinney did a great job of stretching that one out that time.
The OU people talking it over, trying to decide what they want to do. Do you want to punt? Do you want to go? Do you want to kick a field goal? They're letting the clock run down. I think they'll probably let it down as far as they can and then call a timeout to talk it over.
That's right. It's now 2:18, 2:17. 5 seconds left on the clock. And with 2 seconds left, OU calls a timeout. 2:13 left to play in the game. We'd like to thank Texas Sports Information Director Bill Little, plus Oklahoma's SID Mike Treps for their assistance in preparing for today's telecast on HSE. Of course, the Lost Gods of Texas, Wade Walker, the athletic directors at their respective schools. Walker at Oklahoma, great player in his own right. The Lost Gods at Texas.
Oklahoma has now but one timeout left in this game, but you wouldn't suspect they're going to need to use that. Texas has its full complement of 3. If Oklahoma should run the ball and get the first down here, and then get one more first down, the game would be over.
Well, let's see what they're going to do. Brett Akers is trying to look and see what Oklahoma is sending out Brown to hold, and they're going to try a field goal. Tim Lasher will attempt it from his 36-yard line, so it'll be a 46-yard attempt for Lasher. This could ice the game for the Sooners. Of course, the other end of that, a blocked field goal,
run in,
and it puts Texas right back in business.
Well, you can pick up a blocked field goal. Let's not forget that also. A blocked field goal can be picked up and run in. Now, if you miss here, the good side for Oklahoma is you make it, the game's over. You've got a 10-point lead, 2 minutes to go. If you miss, Texas gets the ball at their 30 with 3 timeouts to go.
Sonny Brown will hold for Oklahoma. A 46-yard attempt by Lasher.
No good, right.
It's off to the right and short, so Texas will get the ball at the 36-yard line with 2:08 left to play, trailing by 7.
Texas may lose this football game. The defense did not lose it. What a hell of a football game the Texas defense played today. That's to take nothing away from the best defensive team on the field, which has been Oklahoma.
You know, you get the feeling, Norm, that maybe Texas couldn't score if they had all day here against OU. Yet if they do, they could go for 2. There you see the timeout situation, trailing by 7. This is the last chance for Todd Dodge. He goes in with Eric Metcalf and Jerome Johnson in the backfield.
And now it's too late to use your exotic plays because Oklahoma is going to be laying back.
Metcalf is used as a flanker in the slot. Dodge going long. There's no one there. He threw it over on the Texas sideline. Final score, Rice defeats TCU 34-27. First conference win for Watson Brown.
In fact, first win over a Division I opponent for Watson Brown.
That's correct.
And the first conference win since Watson was a baby, maybe. It's been a while since Rice beat somebody in the conference.
Texas on second down. Dodge is going to roll right. Try to get away from that fierce Oklahoma rush, but he can't do it. Kevin Murphy, number 39. Oh, what a great one. He was a tight, you know, they were all great athletes in high school. He can run like a deer, about 4.6 speed. And timeout is called by Texas, and Todd Dodge is really beaten and battered as he comes to the sidelines to talk it over with Fred Akers.
He made a major mistake there. He could have run around the rush to the outside and bought some time. He turned back to the inside, which has been a very bad play today because the inside rush has been the strength of the Oklahoma defense. Now Akers really has a problem. He's got third down. He's got about 20 to go. He needs to pull something out of the hat. And the problem is he isn't getting the time for his quarterback to stand back and let a receiver get 20 yards downfield. Maybe if he could swing a ball out of the backfield to Metcalf and let him run. All you want to do here is get 8-10 yards back to the point where the fourth down play could be realistic, because now it's 4-down territory, 4-down time for Texas.
Barry Switzer looking for his first win since 1979 in this series. Been a couple of ties in between, and it's been all Texas. Timeout situation and the clock right there in front of you at home. The Texas offense been unable to move, and the defense of Oklahoma basically for the entire game has done it without Tony Casillas, who has been on the sidelines. But that freshman Curtis Williams has come in and done quite a job for OU. He's on the nose now of Chilton. Dodge across the middle for Eric Gay. Great catch at the 45-yard line. Everett Gay, and I think, however, bring it back. It could be holding on the Longhorns. It is. Texas got the calls last year, and it looks like OU may turn the tables this year. A 24-yard pass play to Everett Gay, but Texas is caught for holding. Let's see if we can see it, Norm.
It'll be maybe on Blackmar. That's where the flag was thrown. Let's take a look. No, it doesn't look it there. Oh, a little jersey hold there. Yeah, somebody got a hold of Bosworth's arm. It was the back blocking for Dodge. Okay, Coach. We've got a mere 3rd and 28. Your call, sir?
3rd and 2 time zones with 1:25. A quick kick, right. Dodge running for his life. And he has to eat the football at the 5-yard line. Kevin Murphy has been everywhere today for the Sooners. And that young man knows the frustration. There's Murphy, who knows how great it feels to be on the winning side. The senior from Plano, Texas. And he said how bad, you remember in the pregame, how bad he wanted to win it his senior year, Todd Dodge. How much he wants to win his senior year at Texas. And he has really taken a beating today.
Dodge just can't get 1 foot loose. He looks to unload it, but the only person he could see was Big Gene Chilton, his own center. And it appears that's where it's going to end for the University of Texas today. Thoroughly whipped offensively by a dynamite Oklahoma defense. The second half, Texas is very, very minus yardage offensively. We'll dig it up for you in a minute. Oklahoma now will be getting the ball back. Texas has sent the punting team on the field. If you're Oklahoma, you don't even put a safety back there. Just let them kick the ball, let it bounce, and then don't do anything truly stupid and run out the clock.
The Oklahoma faithful all on their feet at the moment in anticipation of a big win over the Texas Longhorns. It would leave Oklahoma with a 3-0 record. Telchik will be punting from deep in his own end zone. And as you predicted, Norm, no one back deep for OU.
Now somebody's going back. I don't understand that. He shouldn't even be there in case the ball bounces. Look at Telchik.
Telchik really gets away a statistics maker right here, doesn't he?
That's 80. That's over 80 now.
87-yard punt by John Telchik. Oh, my.
But that's not going to do anything but beef up his punting average.
And look at the OU defense celebrating on the Oklahoma sideline. What a great game for the OU defense today. An 81-yard punt, by the way, by Telchik. That'll up his average a little bit.
Have you ever seen a team so thoroughly dominated by another's defense lose by only 7 points?
And what a great job by Gary Gibbs, the defensive coordinator for Oklahoma. Of course, he has a little talent to work with.
What a hard day for Ron Toman to try to figure out how to break that OU defense.
Barry Switzer talking to officials. Switzer's record now in this series will go to 6-5-2. That 81-yard punt, by the way, off the foot of Telchik was 1 yard short of the Texas record. Aikman just dives down on one knee. And a timeout is called by Texas, the final timeout of the game. 40 seconds left to play. So this one, in case, barring anything just unbelievable, this one goes in the W column for the Sooners. Fred Akers will go to 5-3-1 versus Oklahoma.
Switzer now goes above 500 against everybody.
All the coaches had winning records in this series, didn't they?
Yeah.
Bud Wilkinson, Darrell Royal, just the two coaches.
Tell you what, Bill, for anybody down the line playing Oklahoma, I wouldn't want to try to make a living on this defense. Wow.
And of course, the #1 nose guard for Oklahoma. Look at that statistic, will you? Of course, a lot of that has to do with Todd Dodge trying to pass here in the final quarter, but 24 minus yards. When is the last time that Texas has ever rushed for minus yardage? I don't know if it's ever happened.
The update, in fact, the final stats on the Texas offense, they had possession of the ball 17 times today. They managed 4 first downs and about 4.5 yards per possession. Wow.
The clock now down to 30 seconds. Oklahoma will just let it run out. They'll have to run maybe one more play. The Sooners have now allowed only 20 points in 3 games. Barry Switzer. What a great defensive job, and we hope that Tony Casillas is all right. Aikman goes down and counted down with the crowd. Oklahoma really does a job on Texas this afternoon defensively. The Sooners winning a hard-fought struggle 14-7 over the Longhorns here at the Cotton Bowl. A happy Barry Switzer. There's a different look on that man's face going up the ramp this year.
Barry Switzer's got to be walking off this field thinking Minnesota was a pretty good football team. Kansas State isn't very good at all. I now got a hunch I've got a major league defensive football team that I can take to war any place.
Switzer's career record now 118, 23-4. In this series, he now goes 6-5-2 against the University of Texas. He has the best winning percentage of any football coach in the nation, and we hope he will stop and talk with Jerry Park. There he is congratulating Eric Pope, his left guard.
Switzer for his career now 82.7% winning percentage. That's unbelievable.
We'll be back with some final comments from the Cotton Bowl right after this break on the HSE Sports Network. Welcome back to the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas, everybody. That's the final score, 14-7. The Sooners over the Longhorns in a real defensive struggle today. The Sooners were able to mount some kind of offense in this game, Norm, but boy, their defense was just stifling.
You know, I think you said it best. It's around 3 o'clock here in Texas. They could have played till 6, and I think Texas would have finished with 7 points. The Sooner defense was incredible. Consider also that their acknowledged best player, Tony Casillas, went down in the middle of the first quarter. They didn't miss a tick. That's a fine defensive football team.
When is the last time a Texas team was minus yardage in rushing?
Well, I tell you what, Darrell hadn't met Willie yet. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It was really an incredible performance, and I thought the young Aikman quarterback handled himself well. After a shaky start early in the game, he got his feet on the ground.
He made the one major mistake that led to the... Well, it really wasn't his mistake. It was an offensive mistake. He and Carr misfired on a handoff. Basically, if Texas hadn't gotten that touchdown, this could have been nasty because Texas would have had to take more chances offensively, and they were beat up enough offensively.
Well, I needn't tell you that just about everybody in orange and white has left the stadium. The Sooners are still celebrating, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. Fred Akers, and you win this football game. Of course, you want to celebrate all night long, but you can't celebrate very long. First of all, Texas has a tough conference schedule, and the Sooners do with a big 8.
First of all, for Oklahoma, they take on a potent offensive team next week. Miami can get it up and down the field. Now, it didn't look like anybody could get it up and down the field today against the Oklahoma defense. Texas gets thrown right back into a ringer. Arkansas may be every bit as good defensively as Oklahoma.
And they have to play the Razorbacks on the road in Fayetteville, and then have to come back here to Dallas to play SMU, Norm.
Don't you even tell Akers about 2 weeks down the road. He's worried enough about Arkansas, I would think, at this point.
Well, I really enjoyed it, and we hope you fans in Oklahoma and Texas and elsewhere around the nation enjoyed this grand spectacle. The Oklahoma Sooners winning it today 14-7 over the Texas Longhorns. The executive producer of today's game was Jack Stanfield. Senior producers Ed Frazier and Dick Barron. Production manager John McIntyre. Coordinating engineer Don Covington. Coverage of today's game was produced by Robert Steinfeld, directed by Hill Thornell. Technical director Kevin Spivey, engineer in charge Don Wilson. Now this is Bill Worrell for Norm Hitchcock, Steve Ross, and Jerry Park saying so long from the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Once again, the final score of today's game, the Sooners 14, the Longhorns 7. This has been an exclusive presentation of Home Sports Entertainment.